Tonight on The Hangover, does Ben Johnson have the keys to run the NFC North? We got some cap cuts and who can elevate themselves and turn around the disappointing 2024 season. Next inside The Hangover. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Halas Hangover, and for the first time in a month, you got 4 knuckleheads in the studio. What's going on, everybody? How we doing this fine, beautiful 85-degree Monday in Chicago?
Just worried about World War III.
Just doing good.
What you say, Brandon?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, better than Dustin, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do, but you know, it's a worry is all. That's all I'm
saying. Well, I can't worry about things I can't control. I guess
exactly.
If it happens, it happens. All I can do is live my life to the fullest. How you doing up there, Kyle? How's that neck and back doing for you this week?
My neck, my back,
shoulder, man, shoulder.
But it affects the neck and the back. We got 2 twins with 2 shoulder problems. Look at this. Isn't that funny?
Mine was first. I had one first.
Who came out first? You were Kyle. Who was born first?
Me.
All right. So he's beating you to the punch again there, Kyle. So before
maybe he'll give you the punch for everything.
Before we get into this tonight, we got to talk about the biggest news of the day. And the Pro Bowl, maybe the best center in football, has left the NFC North, has left the entire NFL. And the Detroit Lions find themselves once again limping into 2025. Boys, they've lost their center, their wide receivers coach, their defensive coach, their offensive coordinator. As we sit here today, is everyone still locking these guys in as a guaranteed lock to win the NFC North right now? Anybody?
It's obviously a big advantage for the teams that they're playing for them to lose their starting center, one of the best centers in the league. But the Lions are still a very good team, and they're a very well coached team for the most part, right? So like they should be able to get a guy to step in there. I mean, who's their backup center? Does anybody
It's
know?
Some rookie, and they're 2 people I've never heard of. They're 2 people I've never heard of.
I have not looked it up, but it's obviously not good for them. But I mean, I don't think it's like a death knell to them or anything. They'll get a next man up mentality, I'm sure. It's good for the Bears.
Remember when Jason Kelly retired, everybody said the Eagles were going to take a step back. What they just won the Super Bowl. I mean, listen, is he an absolute Ragnow, absolute amazing player for 100%? Yeah, but I think I agree with Dustin. Next man up mentality, and I think that offensive line is strong enough to.
Dante's saying Tate Ratledge is going to be the center.
Hey, if he beat me to the punch, I was just going to say Tate Ratledge is there, and Graham Glasnow is also there.
Well, those are 2 solid players. Tate Ratledge, I mean, he has been a guard, at Georgia, but if they're thinking about moving him inside, he's certainly a fucking dog, and he will beat the hell out of people. That's going to be his calling card, is just working harder than everybody. Whether or not he can play center consistently in the NFL, I don't know, but I mean, that's not a bad option to have to me. I love Ratledge.
Well, I'll tell you this. I like to let Ratledge too. The power of the mullet always rules for me. But here's my biggest problem for Detroit right now. When you lose your offensive coordinator, you have your brain trust with your quarterback and your center. You just lost the captain of your offensive line, the guy who sets you up, sets the quarterback up. You're going to turn this over to a rookie. We talked about this last year with Caleb Williams. Even though it wasn't a rookie, it was Coleman Shelton. It didn't matter. You're not synchronized. You're not in tune. I guess they have some time to get it together. It's going to be a big assignment. We'll see. I'm taking them down a peg. These are some devastating losses for a team to overcome, in my opinion.
I'm with you, Sean. This feels like insult to injury. I mean, it's not a good time for this to happen for a Detroit team that kind of just dispersed. So, yeah, I've said since the start of the offseason, I think the Detroit Lions regressed tremendously. I think the entire NFC North does, other than the Bears, but this is not going to help them at all.
Well, regressing tremendously from 15-2 is what is that? 12-5. I mean, I don't know.
When we predicted our when we predicted the division, I think I gave them 10 wins.
I'd say that's
did.
low for a very
You did.
talented Lions team, man. I mean, again, I'm not counting them out because of this. I mean, losing Ben Johnson is obviously the biggest loss for them, and then you throw in Antoine Randall, and now you're starting center. It's obviously going to be an adjustment period for them.
Aaron
Yeah.
Glenn's probably more important than
Aaron
Randall.
Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, they've had some big losses, but I mean, it's still going to be a team coached by one of the best head coaches in the NFL, and they still got a lot of talent on this team, guys. They just won 15 games this past year, so
Hey,
I
it's
don't know
good
what that
news.
drop-off is.
Good news for Ryan Poles because Drew Dahlman was paid as the third highest paid center in the NFL, but ranked number 4 by PFF, and now he's ranked number 3.
Discount.
I will say, and I don't have the Lions schedule up, but I know that first 8 weeks is going to be one hell of a test for Detroit, especially if you're going to be starting a rookie center. And I'm pulling up their schedule right now because I remember looking at this and saying, man, the Lions are going to be tested up to their bye, which I believe is in week 8. And it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know about starting is this 2025? Oh, this is the preseason. I was like, wait a minute. So they open against the Packers, then they have the
They've
Bears.
got a gauntlet of a preseason.
Yeah, then they travel to the Ravens, then they get the Browns, blah, blah, blah. Then you get Cincinnati, then you're at Kansas City, you're at Cincinnati, then you play Tampa Bay, and then you go to your bye. You come off that bye against Minnesota. So the first 9 weeks, I mean, I know people are like, it's a center, man. The center's a huge piece. We talked about it all last year. Again, we did.
The centerpiece.
Yeah, he is the centerpiece of the offense. So I don't know. I might be falling with you here, Brando. I mean, I had him winning, I think 11 or 12 games. We did it a couple of weeks ago. I might drop that by a win or two. I don't know. That first 9 weeks is going to be crucial, especially if that center isn't syncing up with that offense. It's going to be huge. I know they got some good players around them. They didn't lose Sewell or Decker or so. And did they re-sign Kevin Zeitler? I don't remember.
No, I
No.
don't believe so. I don't
So
believe so.
is there a new guard then and a new center now?
Well, and to me, Sean, and I've said this time and time again, and I'll continue to hammer this home. I mean, you have a system quarterback that's in a brand
Zeitler
new,
signed a 1-year deal with the Titans.
Yeah, he's on the Titans.
you have a system quarterback who's in a brand new system and being run by a guy nobody's familiar with. I mean, I just don't.
I'm not liking it.
I think the last time this guy called plays, it didn't go well for him. He was terminated immediately following the only season he called plays. It came out of left field. I thought that the Lions would maybe look for somebody internally to fill that role. I don't.
Sean, let me ask you this.
There's too many things stacked against these guys to not regress.
And
Does
Dante
this-
asked if the NFC North won a playoff game. No, they did not. I don't know if that was.
Sean, does this affect your odds of making David Montgomery your keeper?
Ooh, well, they were already affected because I think I'm right now. I'm gonna lean towards Rice on Kansas City, Rashee Rice. I think that's where I'm going at the moment. I mean, I don't know. I think Jamar Gibbs is going to take on way too big of a role. I mean, I still think he'll have 1,000 yards, and he'll probably be that inside guy. But I think Rice is still primed for a pretty good season.
Jahmyr Gibbs is coming into his prime. Like he's about to tear up the league for a few years straight. And I think Montgomery is gonna definitely be negatively affected by that in terms of production.
I don't know, man. I was thinking the
You
same
can't
thing. I
keep
was having
Gibbs
this
down.
conversation with Sean, but it's like, then why they just gave David Montgomery a ton of money? They just
No, for
extended
sure
him.
they're going to
Yeah.
utilize him, but I mean, when you see what Jahmyr Gibbs can do on the field, it's really hard to continuously take him out of the game. I mean, that's what killed them in the playoffs last year, guys, is not leaning on Jahmyr Gibbs enough.
Yeah.
If we all remember, like they kept going to Monty, and he was not ready for that moment. If they had leaned on Jahmyr, they would have won that game potentially.
Let me ask you guys: if you have Rice and Monty going into the season,
What's up, Kelvin?
And right now, there is no, from everything that I've heard, there's 0 chance of suspension at this moment for Rice. His case is buried underneath a bunch of cases, not going to get called. So the suspension's out. You keeping Rice or Monty? It has to be a player picked after the, what is it, the 4th round?
Those are your only two options.
Yeah, because it has to be a player picked after the 4th round.
I'd
It can't
go
be anyone
Monty.
1, 2, 3,
Monty's
4.
going to still get a lot of
I
goal
would,
line touches.
I would retain him as well over Rashee
Really?
Rice. There's just too much uncertainty, man, with Rashee Rice. You were talking about the suspension stuff, but I mean, also like the Chiefs continue to add talent to that team,
Lots.
and I mean, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. At least Montgomery's going to get the touchdown.
I think
you know
Xavier
Montgomery's going to
Worthy-
get the touchdowns, the
I
short
think
yardage.
Xavier Worthy's about to dominate that receiving core.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy's in for a big sophomore season. I believe that as well.
And Brashard Smith, the running back they drafted, he's like a Devon A. Chain. I mean, this guy's going to catch the ball a lot, man. Andy Reid's going to get him involved.
What up to everyone in the chat? Thanks for everybody joining us. Squeegee, Dante, Breaking News Bruce, Calvin C, Crooked Commish, CSP, everybody in here. Thank you so much for being here, man. Hit that like button if you have not already. Smash that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, I agree. Thank you guys all so much for joining us this Monday. So, boys, obviously, we're coming off a disappointing season. We all had high hopes last year. And we look at this roster. We got new leadership. We got new coaches. So we got to get into this. What player on this roster? We kind of talked about it backstage. We all have somewhat different ideas. Kyle and I split hairs here because we had the same player, but I decided to switch it up. But I'm gonna let you guys go first. Dustin, how about you take it away? Who is
I feel like I should go last in this, just to be.
I think you should go first. Go first.
Go first. I mean, listen, I got a few different guys. I mean,
I do too.
I got a few different ones, man. But the main one that keeps sticking out to me is Rome Odunze. I mean, now I know he was a rookie last year, right? Rome Odunze is a rookie. He had a disappointing season for where he was drafted because you had some other rookie receivers really going off. Lad McConkey, who was drafted after Rome, right? Brian Thomas Jr. drafted after him. You have Malik Neighbors, who Rome was kind of in that same area, and Marvin Harrison Jr. So Rome kind of became the forgotten man in that. And he kind of became a forgotten man in this offense because he just wasn't getting the ball in advantageous situations. He was open a lot and missed a lot last year. This guy is going to get open often. He's a great route runner. He's a great contested catch guy. He's great after the catch, and they're going to utilize him in the slot more and a lot more motion stuff this year. I just expect Rome to be the best performing receiver on this Bears team this season overall. Better than DJ, better than anybody. He will be Caleb's go-to guy in key moments. And I think he's going to score double-digit touchdowns, man. And have over 1,000 yards. I'm expecting really big things from Rome. Really big things.
What you got there? Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys pretty much know who mine's going to be. I think, obviously, after the poor performance in 2024 there, I think Montez Sweat is going to come back to form here a little bit. I think he's going to be a much better player than he was last year. I mean, Montez Sweat going into 2024 was ranked first since 2020 amongst all defensive ends against the run with a 90.5 run defense grade. So obviously we've talked about this before. A guy you really never have to take off the field. He's not a pass rush specialist. He can do everything, a little bit of everything. He was ranked in 2023. He was ranked 6th in the NFL in forced fumbles, ranked 9th in the NFL in batted balls, ranked 10th in the NFL in sacks, top 50 or top 20 in pressures, top 20 tackles for loss. I mean, the guy is just a football player. He does a little bit of everything. We've talked about this. You know, a lot of Bears fans expect him to be like some sacks experts, some sack specialists.
What's up, Daniel?
17 sacks. He's not that guy. He's never been that guy, but he certainly had a poor season last year. And there's numerous reasons why. First of all, I think the entire team gave up on that previous coaching staff under Matt Eberflus. I think that Montez Sweat was really the only threat on the defensive line, and he got chipped a lot. He got double teamed a lot. I think this team is a little bit deeper than they were last year. I expect Deo to come here and make an impact and free up Montez Sweat a little bit on the other side of the line. And I think the interior pass rush is going to help them a lot. Guys like Grady Jarrett and Trevon Dexter, I think, is going to be better as well. So, yeah, I expect Montez Sweat to be a lot better in 2025 than he was in 2024. No doubt about it.
I really, really hope so. I really, really hope so.
Well, I
really, really hope they're all better.
Yeah, for sure.
And just so you know, there's some encouraging signs. You know, he did skip OTAs last year, which could have led to some of his injuries that he had throughout the season. He wasn't working as hard, but Ryan Poles and the coaching staff has said that this guy is locked in. They said there's nobody working in this building harder than Montez Sweat right now. He's pushing his weight around. He's getting strong. I love this guy. I'm with you 100%, Kyle. I think he's going to be a blockbuster on the Chicago Bears defense in a bounce-back season for number 98 on the Chicago Bears defensive line.
Jed nominates TJ Edwards to have a return to form. Thanks for chipping in, Jed.
Jed, we actually talked about him in the backstage area. We were trying to push him on somebody to break down TJ Edwards as a comeback player of the year for the Bears.
Yeah, I agree with him, man. I expect him to be so. He in 2022 he had 159 tackles, 2023 155, and last year 129. So yeah, a little bit of a drop off there, almost 30 less tackles. I do expect him to get back to that 140, 150 range and have a much better season than he did last year. Like I said, you guys, I think. Kind of like Dustin talks about the tide that raises all boats, when it starts sinking and it starts snowballing, I think everybody's affected equally. I think everybody plays worse than they're expected to play. And I think TJ Edwards was a victim of that, just as everybody else was on this defense last year. And I expect it to be better this year for sure. I like TJ Edwards a lot.
You ain't going to see these players quit this year, regardless of what happens.
I don't think so.
I don't see that happening.
I don't think so either. I think that would be, if that happened, that we would be, might as well burn it down and restart again.
Yeah, right. Who you got, Brandon, or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Sean.
Well, my guy's gonna be it's gonna be the big man in the middle, Andrew Billings. We all know about his run stopping prowess, but I think people forgot last year, 8 games in, he had a 78.6 pass rush grade from Pro Football Focus. It was an injury shortened season. He ranked 10th among interior defensive linemen in that category. In 2023, it was 75. He came in 26th. His run defensive grades, even though they're a little bit lower, 55 and 50, and it did seem a little like he was missing in his run stoppage last year. I still think that he has that reputation, and I think he seems to be back into health as well, and putting him smack dab right back in the middle next to Jaquan Dexter. And I think if you guys remember back to the beginning of the year last year when Jaquan Dexter was playing next to Billings, he was penetrating a little bit more, getting to the quarterback, creating a little bit more havoc. So I think putting the big man back in the middle, him bouncing back to his regular form is going to be huge. He's my player. I nominate Mr. Billings to return to the man he was.
And now you got Jarrett as a part of that rotation as well, which makes a huge difference. And then also, I mean, like you said, man, when Billings went out, that Bears run defense struggled mightily compared to what they were doing with him on the field. The only concern with Billings is his age and his health, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting a little long in the tooth. So hopefully that rotation, like you just said, Dustin, with Jarrett. And,
keep everybody fresh.
Yeah, even Turner, they just keep rotating out, keep them fresh, bring them in on those short yardage situations. Maybe even some big pass rush situations, try to free up somebody. He's a big boy, takes up a lot of space in the middle of that defensive line.
He will eat a double team. He can take on 2 guys and free it up for somebody else. He's a big part of this defensive line, I believe, and I like that pick.
What you got there, Brandon?
I'm going to go with Jaquan Brisker, Sean, another injured player who obviously the Bears were hurting without as well as Andrew Billings. But prior to his injury, he was only graded as 65.3, was 72nd total in the league at the safety position. But I did feel like the last couple of weeks before he suffered the concussion, he was kind of blossoming into the player that Ryan Poles drafted him to be. He was drafted pretty high, remember. So I do think Al Harris is going to be able to get Jaquan Brisker to kind of keep his head up and not maybe throw his body at people. I really like Al Harris coaching both Tyreek Stevenson and Jaquan Brisker for their improvements, to be honest. But I think that he'll be able to at least keep Jaquan Brisker on the field for the majority of the season. And I do think that if he stays healthy, guys, this kid has a lot of potential to be a top 20 safety in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he was having a damn good season. If you look at him on X, man, he feels like he's feeling good, like he's back in good health, like he doesn't have any issues. He's expecting himself to have a great year. I mean, and he's gonna need to if he wants to earn a second contract. That's worth a damn in the NFL, because
I was going to say that
you can't stay healthy.
Contract year,
yeah, you got to play. He's got to play well this year.
I trust Al Harris to do what's right by Jaquan Brisker to help him keep himself, because guys, those concussions, it doesn't just take a player off your field. You're talking about the detriment of your health for your future. I mean, Jaquan Brisker suffers any more of those, and he's going to have some serious issues beyond his NFL career. So I'm hoping that Al Harris can clean that stuff up, man, and keep him on the field, because if the Bears lose him, they're very thin at that position too.
Real quick, guys. Ron says, with the rebuilt offensive line and a few more weapons, Caleb will have a great season, over 4,000 passing yards. Yeah, I think, Ron, we all of us would have taken Caleb to have a better season than he did last year. But think that's just kind of the obvious pick. I think all of us expect him to be much better than he was last season. And not like he played poorly last season. He had to overcome a lot of adversity. But yeah, I expect Caleb to improve in almost every statistical category: rushing yards, touchdowns, passing yards, completion percentage, and pretty much everywhere across the board. I think this offense is much, much better. And I think Ben Johnson is light years and head and shoulder better than anybody who called the offense. Any play caller the Bears have had in the last 10 years, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Does anybody have another guy?
We need to go around the horn again, man. There's too many guys to talk about. I mean, I want to throw Austin Booker's name out here.
I got another guy.
I'm throwing Austin Booker's name out here because this is a guy that the Bears drafted thinking like we're going to get a year ahead of this. Basically, he was a project. If he went back to school for another year, potentially he could have built his resume a little more and been a much higher pick. He's got the skill set, the size, the athletic ability to play defensive end in the NFL and do it really well. And at the very least this year, make a big impact rotationally as just a pass rush specialist. I love Austin Booker's skill set. I love the pick when they made it. They traded back into the draft to get him, so that shows you how highly they think of him. He was much maligned last year, honestly, but he was thrown into reps that he was not ready for, really. And just like a lot of guys on this team that ended up getting put in positions that they weren't ready for because of everything that happened. I think Austin Booker in the right role this year could be a 7-8 sack guy just in that pass rush specialist role in that rotation, man. I expect big things from Austin Booker this year and for his career. I think we're going to see the version of him, start to see the version of him the Bears drafted him to be.
Yeah, you should see some NASCAR packages type stuff for him for
sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Austin Booker does. Big fan of his. I think he's going to have a successful season his second year.
I as well, because nothing will make me happier to see my Jayhawk become a star on the Chicago Bears. Go, Kyle, why are you shaking your head, man?
Because
speaking of whom, I'm wearing the Kansas Comet tonight, boys.
Nice.
Might be the last successful Jayhawk on the Bears.
You just showed that. I mean, on X, I continuously see like what is it like? Have you guys seen like if you knew this running back was going to stay healthy for their entire career? It was like Bo Jackson, Gale Sayers. I can't remember the other two, but like Gale Sayers is obviously that guy. It's Bo Jackson or Gale Sayers, right? If you think about those two, if they had stayed healthy for their entire careers and been able to play the years that, like, say, Walter Payton or Emmitt Smith did, Gale Sayers would have had some records in the NFL.
Didn't Terrell Davis retire pretty young too?
I mean, younger than you would want. Yeah, he had the concussion and headaches issue. He had the migraines all the time, and
I'm sure it's because I'm more focused on the sports here in Chicago. But I feel like every one of our franchises has that story somewhere. The Gale Sayers, Derrick Rose, Mark Pryor. There's a player on every franchise that like could have been great had they had played longer.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine if you were a Colts fan and you had Andrew Luck and he retired at 27? I would crush my soul.
Lions fan and watch
crush my soul.
Megatron and Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders,
or Frank Ragnow.
or Frank Ragnow.
They have some recent wounds to heal. Yeah.
I mean, Luke Kuechly with the Panthers. That was another one that was kind of recent. I mean, yeah, it's
Chris
tough,
Borland. Was it Chris Borland?
Luke Kuechly, Chris Borland for the Niners.
Didn't Patrick Willis retire pretty young too?
Patrick Willis retired younger than I would have liked him to. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not the same game anymore, guys.
I was gonna say it's a violent game, isn't it, boys?
Yep, and guys are getting smarter.
Yeah, there's just so much attention drawn to concussions and the long-term effects from concussions.
So much more research into it. Yeah, man, the medical part of it, like just guys have more information.
So much more evidence of what happens to you post-career with all these ex-players, man.
I'm with Brandon, man.
Himself home from the grocery store.
If Jaquan Brisker has one more concussion, if I were him, I would sincerely.
I would not continue to play. No, and that's why it's a huge season for Jaquan Brisker. And if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to have a damn good year, and that's a good pick by Brandon. But if he cannot, not just for the Bears, man, but for himself, he needs to really consider whether or not football is the right sport for him, and that's why it's such a huge year for him.
I would imagine a doctor's already had this conversation with Jaquan Brisker, and I don't mean like, hey, if you get another one, hang it. I mean like somebody probably told him you probably shouldn't play football anymore after this concussion he suffered last year, guys. Because remember when that concussion was first reported, which was like He played like a few more drives too
Yeah,
after
he
that
did.
after
He
that
did.
hit, which is not good, man. But when they first reported, it was like, oh, he could miss 2 to 3 weeks.
And it just kept going.
The guy missed
rest-
like to like a week ago.
He missed
the first time he was
he
cleared,
missed
too.
half a year.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so it's a
that was
serious thing
was
for
bad.
him, man. I'm hoping for the best for him, obviously, not just because we're Bears fans, but because like you just want this guy to be able to make a living doing the thing that he loves to do and stay healthy and have his wits about him.
Yeah, and still be a father to his kids and a husband to his
Yeah,
wife.
be a human being first for sure.
Yeah, and another player who should have a really bounce back year for the Bears next year. Sean, I know you've talked about how he kind of had a career year. I'm not talking about overall statistics, but in terms of efficiency, DeAndre Swift should be much, much better in 2025 than he was in 2024.
Thank you. That was my
dig
other one.
into some of these numbers, man. 3.8 yards per carry was ranked 39th in the NFL. Targets, he was ranked 15th out of running backs. He should be higher than that. Receiving yards, 10th. Receiving touchdowns, 33rd. Rushing yards, 18th. I mean, explosive runs, 26th, which are runs of 10 plus carries. He had 18, only had 18 last year. I expect DeAndre Swift to basically improve on every single one of the statistics I just talked about. I mean, every rushing touchdowns, 6. I think you should have more than that. I think overall, DeAndre Swift's going to be much more crucial part of this offense than he was last year because I don't think the Bears know how to use him, and I think Ben Johnson does.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson knows that you got to establish the run to win football games. You can see that in his offenses from the past. Like, regardless of anything, we got Caleb, we got all these weapons. That's great. Ben Johnson knows his bread is going to be buttered with that run game. And DeAndre Swift, whether we like it or not, is the best running back on this football team. And yes, Kyle, he's a lot better than he's getting credit for right now after a down season last year. I expect big things from him.
I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but I think I read somewhere that in the last 4 years under Ben Johnson, I think the Detroit Lions are in the top 5 for rushing attempts every single year.
And in the top 5 for play action, Kyle, which you need the run game to establish that play action. It's the biggest part of his passing game, really, if you look at the numbers.
And I'll feed off of Kyle because I just did an article and I'll back it up. I mean, Roshan Johnson, I think they didn't know how to use him. They didn't use him effectively. He did have the concussion problems, but when he was on the field, he was very effective running the ball. He had a 92.7 positive gain yardage in his career. Get him the ball. He's going to get you those tough yards. He'll get you those 3rd and 3s, especially behind this new built offensive line. I just think there's so many pieces all together, and we can keep going around the horn and talking about them, but I think there's so many pieces on this roster that weren't utilized correctly under the old jackass regime that now we have some guys that have some competence that are going to be able to put these guys in winning positions and use them to their abilities. And I'm very excited to see some of these guys that we've been saying, hey, Poles underdrafted, didn't draft this guy right, didn't draft this guy right. I think we might be changing our mind on some of these guys as they're utilized properly in this new scheme, offensively and defensively for the Chicago Bears in 2025.
Yeah, man. Roshan's definitely going to get the opportunity to be that power back. He's going to get that first crack at it. And if he holds it down, he's going to keep it all year. So I could see him leading this team in touchdowns, Sean. I don't know that he is anything special as a running back, but he can get the job done in those short yardage situations. That's for sure. So, I mean, if that opportunity is there and he seizes it, then he will have production this year. I remember he was relevant in fantasy last year just from his ability to get touchdowns. And that could be consistent throughout the year this year if he stays healthy and Ben Johnson gets this offensive line, opening up some more run lanes. I just have concern about him being, better than an average running back. I mean, but there is a place for that in an offense for sure. So, I mean, listen, we could split hairs on that. You expect Roshan to have potentially a breakout season. I don't necessarily see that.
Good year.
Yeah, but I see him capitalizing on his opportunity if he gets it, which it looks like he will get that first crack at that role on this roster.
Flex Dick says Roshan's just too slow. Dude runs like he has a pan on his back. Roshan actually had a better 40 time than Matt Forte. Flex.
He also had a better 40. He also had a better 40 time than David Montgomery.
Yeah, but he's just slow on the field, man. Like it's kind of what I'm saying. Like nothing stands out about him when you see him run. There's certain running backs that get on the field and they might have limited opportunity, but they stand out. Like, and you just know, like they're gonna get their opportunity because you can't deny the talent that you see when they touch the ball. I have not seen that with Roshan Johnson. That's all I'm saying. He's a yeoman's guy. He'll get the job done for what you need. I just hope he's kind of put into that very particular role, short yardage, power back, get the hard yard that you need to keep the chains moving or get in the end zone.
And I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, I've done a lot of studying on Roshan Johnson. I love this guy to death, and I hope he does succeed here. People
For
forget
sure.
this guy was a quarterback. This guy was a wide receiver. This guy was a running back. I mean, he did it all. Go look at his high school performances. He set records across the country as a quarterback for rushing, receiving. Then he went to Texas. At Texas, switched from quarterback to running back because they had so many injuries. He's still learning how to play the position. I know, it should be just that easy. You get the ball, run through the hole, right? No, it's speed, it's vision, it's footwork, lateral quickness, being able to recognize. Yes, thank you. Patience, vision. There's so many things that go into it. So I'm just saying, and I don't think he was put in the proper situation.
Yeah, I mean, how could you possibly judge Roshan Johnson based off of what he did under Shane Waldron? I mean, it's almost impossible, man. Like, I understand where Dustin's coming from. He's looked average, but I mean,
I'm just talking about what he does when he touches the ball, not really about the system.
I just
He stands out in pass protection.
I mean, I feel like Roshan Johnson, when he got to the Bears, kind of probably every time they put the ball in his hands and his offensive line crumbled and collapsed like they have for the last 3 years, he probably felt like it was him against the world. There's really
he averaged 4.5 yards per carry 2 years ago, and he averaged 2.7 last year.
Yeah,
So
I mean, and DeAndre Swift, DeAndre Swift averaged over 4 his whole career, and the last year he averaged 3.6. I mean, that's just a product of the Bears being
the offensive line was awful.
Team.
The offensive line was awful, and
everything about them was awful. The play calling was awful. The offensive line was awful.
Bounce back year for the entire offensive line.
Well, when Roshan did have blocking,
it better be.
He averaged 4.3 yards, which you go to the NFL average. He was average. That's average in the NFL.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he's just kind of an average player. But again, if he's in the right role in this Ben Johnson offense, I think he can succeed in that role. So, I mean, again, we'll see how it goes. But he is obviously getting the first crack at that power back in this offense. And I think he'll take advantage of that opportunity. So I agree with you, Sean. I just don't see him like breaking out and leading the Bears and rushing. Brandon brought that question up on the bare minimum on Thursday. I don't see that happening.
I think Roshan Johnson will be fantasy relevant if he is that power
with the touchdowns, no doubt. That's what I was just saying. Yeah,
I'll be drafting him in Nerd League this year because it's a touchdown based league, and I'll probably be able to sneak him in the later rounds.
Well, and you have to, like I said, and DeAndre Swift just doesn't do those things well at all.
Yeah.
I mean, at all. He's and Ben Johnson.
Well, that's not him. Yeah, that's not his job.
And Ben Johnson identified this the last time he coached him. So you're going to get a healthy dose of somebody, guys. I don't know who it's going to be, but you're going to get a healthy dose of maybe a whole plethora. Maybe Ian Wheeler's the comeback player of the fucking year for this team.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
no, I don't see
my other comeback is actually a player who wasn't on the Bears roster last year, but he went from a league leading 13.8 yards per punt return in 2021 to 8.8 last year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is Devin Duvernay. I do believe this player is still going to handle the bulk of returning for this football team, guys. We know that Ryan Poles has been looking for this piece for a long time, and I know we want to see Luther Burden and Roma Dunze get some touches in this role, but you also want to keep those guys healthy. You want to protect them from injury. This is a play. We know these plays are plays where players get injured. I do expect Duvernay to increase the yards per return for the punt returns because the Bears did average actually not league leading, but they were in the top 10, 13 yards per punt return. So I do expect Devin Duvernay's yards per punt return to come up. He did have 25 yards per kick return, which was somewhere in the middle of the pack. The Bears returned the ball for 28 yards last year per kick return. So I could see those numbers coming up too, guys. He is obviously a skilled player with the ball in his hands. And I do think this is going to be his primary role and probably his only role. So I think he has a bounce back here, guys, for the Chicago Bears as the punt returner and kick return.
Oh, the Bears needed reliability at that position so badly, Brandon. I think Duvernay can be a big help.
That was a big signing. I really like that signing when it happened, and I haven't forgot about it. Yeah, I think he's going to make an impact.
Another guy who I expect to improve, I hope improves because the Bears put a lot of money into him, was Deo. You'd like to see some of those pressures turn into sacks. I think he finished last season with 3.5 sacks. I expect him to be at least over 7, at least bare minimum. I think he should be over 7 sacks, hopefully double digits. But yeah, just the defensive line as a whole, because they've added so many pieces, even though none of them are like bona fide superstars. I expect everybody to get a little better because I just feel like they're starting to take pressure off certain players or certain sides of the line. Like everybody now needs to be accounted for. Really can't double up on anybody. If you double up on Montez Sweat, I expect Dale to have a good season or vice versa. So I expect the defensive line to get better as a whole. Brennan keeps saying he thinks they're going to be like, they had 40 sacks last year. Maybe they'll get 45. I expect over 50.
You got to throw Javon Dexter's name out there too, guys.
Yeah.
You got to throw Jaquan Brisker out there. It's another guy who's in a contract year. He needs to perform very well. He performed pretty damn well last year. Big improvement from the year before. I expect more improvement this year. I expect him to be one of the better defensive tackles in the league if he realizes his potential.
How long was Josh Blackwell's contract extension?
I think 2 years.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this comment. You got him here. He's looked. Whenever he's been on the field, he's made plays. I wouldn't mind seeing Josh Blackwell get some punt returns as well. I mean, I'd like to see all. I'd like to see Luther Burden back there too. The only problem with Luther Burden is he could be such a special player on offense. You certainly don't want him getting hurt on a punt return. But
yeah, if it's a way to get him involved for sure, while he's not getting involved in offense.
When he has the ball in his hands, he's scary.
I'd like to see Burden on punt return, Duvernay on the kick returns.
It was a 2-year extension worth $6 million that he signed.
I think he's underrated in terms of secondary depth as well, too. Man. I think he could play.
I wanted to ask you guys about
safety
this,
or corner,
because we've talked about this a little bit. Ben traded Swift to the Eagles. Will he trade him again?
Not this year.
No. You're not getting nothing for him. I mean, what are you going to get for him?
Not to mention, what do you got?
Well, exactly.
I think he's saying after this season is over, like showcase.
I think it depends on what he does.
Yeah, it really 100%. Because like you got that third year that you could go with and maintain them for about that $8 million a year, right? Like Swift still has 2 more years on this deal, and I mean, you can get out of it after this year. And I talked with Brandon about this on Thursday. I mean, you could see Swift have a pretty solid year, like a really good year this year, and the Bears still don't take him into next season. That's a possibility. Swift could play well and still not be on this roster the year after.
That's why
I don't know what you get for DeAndre Swift.
And I agree with you, Justin. That's why I keep saying to everybody in the chat or on these shows in the last few weeks, we keep talking about adding a defensive end or a running back, or maybe add a safety for depth purposes. Like, hey, just wait till the 53-man roster cuts. I mean, Dustin just said it. A guy like DeAndre Swift could be cut after the season and become a free agent. Like, if you have to wait till a certain date, like I know a lot of these guys have to wait till after June 1st, which just happened, in order to get they don't have to eat so much dead cap. Like, if that's the case, then if the Bears are really looking to add more depth to this team, wait till the 53-man roster cutdowns, because I think there's going to be some surprise names on that list. I really do. I think there's going to be some names there. You're like, there's talks that Sean was Mark Andrews cut?
No.
But they talked about it, right?
They did talk about it.
They're still talking about it. Yeah, I think they're still talking. It's still
on
the table. That is.
I'd be talking about it. I mean, he makes a lot of money, and he hasn't made the biggest impact. He didn't make the biggest impact last year. I mean, he was solid.
He was really huge for them down the stretch.
He had a decent year.
Yeah, and he had some problems down the stretch too, and he had some problems to start the season too.
I think a lot of people forget
he's getting up there in age.
He was coming off a surgery right before the season started. He got into that automobile accident.
We don't even have to get into the.
I don't think the Ravens have forgotten, because
we don't even have to get into the numbers, Mark Andrews. The point is that there's going to be some names of notoriety who are going to become free agents after these roster cuts, because
Nick Chubb is still out.
Jair Alexander is probably going to be cut. I mean, there's a lot of these guys are going to be cut, and if they are, then wait till they add depth until all these guys are cut. Even if Jair Alexander could play 4 games for the Bears at number 2 receiver,
I want no piece of Jair Alexander.
Anybody?
I did see he was going to be a possibility.
Anybody? Yes. Why are you going through the scraps now when the scraps are about to quadruple in a month? That doesn't make sense. That's really stupid.
I know this is probably going to cause a humongous explosion in this show right now, but I want to touch on what Dante said here. And the Eagles actually have 45 sacks, Dante. They're really close to 41. And I appreciate that comment, because we've been talking about this. And when you say sacks don't matter, sacks matter, but they don't matter. Like I've been saying, pressures matter as much as sacks to me. You get pressure, you cause problems. You get comfortable. You get the quarterback uncomfortable. Now, if the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, they had 45 sacks. How many sacks did the Bears have last year?
40.
40. So 5 less than the Super Bowl champions. So I just have to ask this question. How much do sacks matter? Because you just saw a team win the Super Bowl, look really goddamn good, and had 5 more sacks than a Bears defense that looked like shit.
Yeah, but they did have 6 sacks in the Super Bowl.
And the pressures though too, Brandon. They wreaked havoc in the backfield throughout the season. They did, and it's not just about sacks, Sean. I've never said that it is, and I don't believe that it is. The pressures that you can create can cause turnovers, can cause the ball to go the other direction, throws off the timing of the offense, makes the quarterback make mistakes. It all matters. Sacks matter. They create momentum, and they give you a negative play. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to see this Bears defensive line in the backfield harassing the quarterback, causing negative plays one way or the other. I don't give a shit what it ends in, as long as it ends in the Bears getting the ball back and giving the ball to Caleb Williams to score some fucking points. That's what I want to see.
Trey Anderson had 17 and a half sacks and gave up his ass on the edge. I'm with you guys. I just know we've had this discussion before, and Deo and Sweat together. I think I said last week it was 100. I think I looked into the numbers, and I think it was 41 and 45 or something.
Yeah, it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s. And I mean, neither one of them were in the top half of the top defensive ends. I mean, they were in the late 20s to mid 30s in terms of their ranking in those respective ones. But now, again, you talk about adding Shamar Turner. You talk about Javon Dexter stepping up. Billings coming back. Grady Jarrett. Austin Booker having development this year and becoming better. It should be a team effort, a group effort to get after that quarterback and keep guys, like you said, Sean, with fresh legs coming into that rotation to where we can constantly apply pressure to the quarterback.
And
it should be a group effort.
Quarterback pressures and sacks will go up just by default for the Chicago Bears because the Chicago Bears couldn't stop the run most of the season last year. They were ranked, I think, 29th in stopping the run in the NFL.
It starts there.
It's tough to sack the quarterback with a team's like, hey, we don't even have to pass the ball.
All we got to do is run the ball.
It down the middle, and the quarterback is never standing in the pocket in order to be sacked. If the Bears can stop the run, which I think Grady Jarrett and Dexter getting better, and Deo, and we know Montez Sweat is really good at stopping the run. If they could stop the run this year, at least get better at stopping the run, the quarterback's going to have to pass more, and then the Bears sack totals are going to go up just by default. I mean, just by the fact that
they have more opportunity. Yes, 100%. I agree with that. It starts with stopping the run and establishing the run on offense. We said it all year last year, while the Bears were not doing either of those things. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I do think here, we were giving up Trax is saying 5 yards a run last year, and that was embarrassing. And I do think that the Bears are going to be a lot better in that respect. When you have Gordon back, you have Brisker back, you have Billings back. I mean, you're getting some run stuffers back, and these guys, for all intents and purposes, are really good against the run. Dexter, solid. Montez Sweat is a dynamo against the run.
I mean, I just said, Sean, since 2000, Montez Sweat is the number 1 ranked defensive end in the NFL against his run defense.
Since
his run
2000 what?
20. His run defense grade is 90.5 since 2020.
He's an absolute
That's
dynamo.
amazing for a defensive end. That's amazing.
I would be shocked if the Bears are a healthy defense and they're giving up 5 yards a carry.
No way. Yeah,
and all that is being said without even talking about the fact that we have a new defensive coordinator that's going to implement a new system that hopefully plays to the strengths of these
and a defensive line coach that's been coaching football for 41 years.
Yeah. Since before I was born.
He's like a consultant. He's not actually the defensive line coach.
I know he's basically the boss of the defensive line.
What's the guy's name? That's the coach, the defensive line coach.
Jeremy Garrett.
Yeah, but Bill Johnson is basically his boss.
Bill Johnson is the guy.
Jeremy Garrett is the actual defensive
out on the sideline. He's just going to tell him what to do, and he's going to implement.
Yeah, it's like Dan Rauscher is going to do a lot of that too, man. Dan Rauscher is going to be doing a lot of telling people what to do to make this offensive line.
I mean, Jeremy Garrett has a pretty good resume as well. Their actual defensive line coach is no slouch.
Yeah, I think all the Bears coaches have pretty good, except for their offensive coordinator, which is still, I think, kind of a conundrum to most of us. But most of the coaching staff has a very.
I want to throw one more name out there if we're talking about it. I don't know if you guys got any more, man, but I really love Tyreek Stevenson. I have
There it
stood
is,
pat
Brandon.
on him, right? So I need to see Tyreek have a much better season this year and eliminate the mental mistakes, because he obviously has all the physical abilities to be a playmaker on the defensive side of the football. And the Bears desperately need a second cornerback across from Jalen Johnson that is consistent and reliable. And I think Tyree Stevenson has the capabilities to be that guy. Whether or not he has the mentality, that remains to be seen. But as Brandon mentioned, Al Harris, he can shape up a guy's mentality because he has a damn good one too. So, I mean, I would be interested to see what Tyreek Stevenson does this year with the opportunity. He is going to get first crack at that. And I think he can have a damn good year with the right coaching and if he's kept focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, and
Dennis-
whether it's I know I understand that he was like a 5th round pick, but Dave Frazier should be lighting a fire.
Dave
in
Frazier, love him.
Stevenson's ass.
Hell
because
yeah.
I think he can take
Yeah.
his job if he doesn't perform well. I think they love
100%. 100%. But to have
Dennis-
those options
Dennis-
will be good. That competition will be good.
And
no matter
Dennis
what.
Allen is going to do a whole lot more press, guys, which is what Tyreek Stevenson should be doing. He's not a guy who plays a zone. It never made sense. The fit doesn't make sense for Ty. I keep saying these guys are really aggressive players at the line. They're press corners. Jalen Johnson can do anything that you ask him to, but Tyreek Stevenson is a physical, aggressive press corner. He wants to smack you in the mouth at the line. That's what it's. I mean, this guy is really, really, really fucking physical. That's why I even mentioned moving him to safety. He's not a zone corner. He doesn't fit that scheme at all. And I think if Dennis Allen, who will play a lot more press, I think he's going to get
It'll
a lot
still be
more out of
press that drops into zone,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
They'll still be
but they
dropping
don't.
into
They
the
don't.
zone,
But
though.
Matt Eberflus was scared to do this with his 2 DBs.
Yeah. The
I think
soft
that
zone
Dennis-
coverage.
Yeah, Dennis Allen is going to have him at the line of scrimmage, and I think this is going to get a lot more out of Tyreek Stevenson because when it comes to that aspect of the game, I think he might be one of the best in the NFL.
That's where he excels.
Who were the Bears captains last year?
Was
About
Montez?
27. of
Yeah, it
them.
was like Montez Sweat, Mercedes Lewis was in there,
Caleb
Kevin
Caleb
Byers,
Williams,
Jalen
DJ
Johnson,
Moore, Cole Kmet.
Yeah, it was
So
a smorgasbord.
it should be Grady Jarrett,
John
Montez
Lugo
Sweat,
was
Jalen
one.
Johnson,
Dustin
Caleb
Jones, I
Williams.
think they called earlier.
Joe Tooney,
4 stars was a captain. They called
DJ
us
Moore.
the four-
DJ
I
Moore
would
should be
say-
captain.
I'll just say one more guy to throw out there that the Bears and no one should forget about is Terrell Smith. I mean, he had almost an 80 pass coverage grade
I
last
like
year.
Terrell Smith.
Yeah, he had 9 pass breakups. He had 207 snaps in those in last season. In his limited time, he showed that he has the ability to play corner in the NFL. So I love the depth. I love the depth in the secondary. And
That's
I'm
another
just
press
wondering-
guy too, Sean. That's another
Yeah.
press guy.
Well, and I'm also wondering because you have so many DBs, you got Frazier here now. If there is any kind of talk, if Brisker does go down or anything, maybe you do move Stevenson or Gordon over in that position. And I know it sounds silly to even talk about one of the top 3 nickel corners in the entire NFL.
Don't sound silly to me. I love
But,
it.
I
I've
mean,
thought about that
Smith-
since he came in
Terrell-
the league, Sean. I've
Terrell
thought about that
Smith-
since he came in the league.
Terrell
He can play
Smith
safety.
has the tools to play strong safety. Terrell Smith is another physical, aggressive ass press corner.
is it his size? Oh, well, I guess he's 210 pounds, 6 foot. So
The reality is, like you said, the depth is there, and as Kyle
Yeah.
pointed out, the competition is there. He mentioned Zay Frazier. You're now mentioning Terrell Smith, and Dante's mentioning it in the chat, right? And I mean, it's going to be the best player that wins that job. That's
Yeah.
what and again, I keep coming back to that because Ben Johnson will put the best player for the job on the field based on merit. These guys will earn their jobs. If Tyree Stevenson cannot earn his job, then go sit on the fucking bench, dude, because this guy outperformed you. That will be the results of this training camp and preseason. Ben Johnson's going to weed out the bullshit and get the best possible players on the field. That I am 100% confident in.
yeah, and him not even committing the other day to Darnell Wright playing right.
Yeah,
tackle.
that's all. Yeah, bullshit.
I understand what it is,
Bullshit.
but it just shows his level of commitment to where he's at with this roster and showing everybody, hey, nobody's job is secure.
Yeah,
I don't care
but
who
he's
you
sending
are.
a message, but he knows in
Exactly.
the back
That's
of his
exactly
head
what I'm
that
saying.
Darnell Wright is the starting right
Hey.
tackle for the Chicago Bears. Show.
What
That's
if
not
he
even a
wasn't?
Question. He
What
is.
if he wasn't?
Let's know
What
what
if
if
he
he
wasn't?
wasn't. He is. He is.
Yeah, but he still will have to earn it. We expect him to continue
Correct.
to play well
Thanks,
throughout
Trax.
this off season and into the
Here.
season. I mean,
I
that's
don't
the reality. But
Yeah, I don't think he won't be. I'm just saying everybody should feel as if they have to go out and this is a job interview and they have
you
to
want them to feel that way, Sean. As a
Yeah.
Bears fan, you
Absolutely.
want that because we have not
Absolutely.
had that, and we've seen the results it gets us.
Yeah.
Bullshit seasons where players quit on the coaches and they quit on their fans, and we can't have that shit no more. That's for sure.
Kyle, I'll use this.
Well, and like Dustin stressed so many times. I mean, when you're doing this, when you're taking this approach that Ben Johnson is, it's not just that feeling that the guy who's been playing in the starting role has, where there's somebody behind him hovering over his shoulder with
Breathing
the
down his neck.
possibility of taking his job. Think about if you're the kid, man. Think about if you're the Austin Booker and Dennis
And
Allen
you
is telling you,
believe it.
I don't
Yeah.
know if Dale's a starter. Booker, I don't know, man. If you come out here and show out, I don't know.
You're that guy. You'll be that dude.
You're gonna get hungry real fast, man. If somebody's telling you can you smell the starting role, man? Because it's cooking. Get out here and fucking play some football.
When you believe that
I'd be-
shit, you work
yeah.
hard.
If you just look at the change from last year, from the players like DJ Moore and Montez Sweat, your superstars, your highest paid players, who skipped these voluntary workouts. I'm not making it up. They did. They didn't show up because they were the stars. What are they doing right now? They're some of the hardest working guys on the field, and they're setting an example.
Maybe
for everybody
Tyreek,
on this roster.
maybe Scott will replace DJ Moore as the starting receiver on the Bears.
You know, I wanted to actually, I actually wanted to talk about cut candidates when we get into these June.
I mean,
cuts.
they're even like Tyson Bagent is even now in the middle of a battle with Case Keenum, who's going
Bagent's
to be the
gone.
backup quarterback. They're
Bagent's
getting. I
gone.
mean, from top to bottom, man. It's you guys need to earn this shit. That's how they're doing this, man.
I think Bagent's gone, dude. Case Keenum was brought here for a reason, and they want Case Keenum here for the entire season.
No more
gotta have-
Bagents. No more
you guys-
Bagency.
You have to
No
have
more
three
Bag-
guys.
The Bagency is closed.
You got three guys. Emergency quarterback as of 2 years ago. You have to have three quarterbacks on the roster.
I don't think that Tyson Bagent feels that that's his role in the NFL. I think he will be gone. That's just my prediction.
I mean, if the Bears decide to keep him, he ain't got nothing to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, he can't do it unless he retires. There's nothing he can do about it.
Who the fuck is Tyson Bagent to say, I feel like I can do more in the NFL? You ain't shown that, dude. Get out of here. Put in the work.
Throw a Hail Mary, for God's sake.
I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be here. I think he will be a cut casualty for the Chicago Bears. You can
They
bring
could
in
be
anybody.
starting for the Steelers.
Sean, get the clap. Get the clap. Get the clap.
What? No. Hold on, I'm going. Who we got?
Ryan, fellas, new viewer here. Love your
Hey,
show.
Ryan,
Hope this
thanks for
week is as
joining us,
passionate
man.
as last week.
Oh, you
What up,
enjoyed.
Ryan?
He enjoyed last week, man.
Hey.
This one's for you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. That's my daughter's name. Thanks for joining.
Let's shout out the
us.
chat real
My
quick
middle
again,
name.
guys. Oh, yep. Flex Diggs, Romy, Calvin, Ryan, CSP, Erica, Bruce still in here, Dante. Y'all are killing it. Thanks so much. Keep the comments coming. We're going to keep getting into our Bears here and what we expect from them in terms of what you say, roster cut, Sean, coming into the season. Do we have any more
cuts and the keys to the NFC North?
Do we have any more players that were? I mean, I think we've all named a good amount. I mean, we could go all day on this, to be honest, because every single player needs to perform better this year than they did last year, and we should expect that from professional football players in Chicago, the third biggest market in the country. We need to see better results from our football team, and we got the coaches to get it out of them, we believe. So we can go all day on this, but I mean, I don't know if anybody has anybody else.
No, I'm good. I think I got my players out, and I think that if this team just comes together like I think they could, like they did at the beginning of last season, and they build off of that instead of letting it fall apart, I think this could become a dangerous team by the end of the year. I think the first few weeks we'll see some real bumps, see some things we may like, we may not like, but just give it time. Like anything, plant the seed, water it, watch it grow. And that's what's going to happen here. I think they're going to grow very well into the system. Just today, I heard an interview on The Score, and they were talking about Caleb Williams. They said this guy is studying more, asking more questions. He's the first one in the building. He's the last one leaving. He's breaking CBA. They said it on the score. He's breaking CBA, doing extra work that he's not supposed to. Case Keenum said he is drilling him for everything. This guy is trying to earn the status for the Chicago Bears as the best quarterback in franchise history, which won't be very hard. But he wants to earn that number 1 overall pick status. And I'm loving that I'm hearing this in May, because it's only going to get harder for him and this entire offense as the season approaches. So it's nice to hear that he's putting in extra time in May to be ready for at the end of July as we get into the preseason in August and into the regular season in September. So,
anyone who ever doubted
I have
Caleb's
one
work
more.
ethic or intelligence or any of those things is fucking dense, dude.
What's up,
I
Alan?
have
Just
one-
weren't
I have
paying
one more.
attention. Just
Thanks
weren't
for
paying
joining the
attention.
show, man. Really appreciate you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. I got one more bounce.
Is
back.
Alan a new guy?
Alan,
No, he's been
No?
here before.
All right,
Oh.
very good. What up, Alan?
what
I
up,
got
Alan?
one more.
Welcome back.
All right. I got one more bounce back player.
If you say Dominic Robinson, I'm going to jump through this computer.
No, I'm going to say another
I-
player who wasn't on this Bears roster last year, but more importantly, he's hooking back up with his coach when he was playing quality football, guys. It's Jonah Jackson. I know that this is the player that probably every fan hates the most on this offensive line other than Braxton Jones, but there was a time when this guy was playing some really quality football, and it was under our new head coach, Ben Johnson. And we just mentioned the guy who's been coaching for 40 plus years in Dan Roshan. I mean, they've got some really quality coaches. If Jonah Jackson can stay healthy, guys, I do see him getting back to that premier form where he was playing good quality football at the right guard position before he was moved to center in LA.
Jonah Jackson, there's no reason to hate him as a Bears fan. You haven't even seen him play yet for the Chicago Bears. The Bears traded for him for a reason, Brandon. I'm with you. I expect him to have a bounce back year as well. I expect this offensive line to be much improved because of the additions they made in this interior.
And
The
Jonah's
biggest issue
playing
with
next to
him,
Darnell Wright.
he has not played a lot of football in the last 2 years. That is the biggest concern with him. He played less than Tevin Jenkins. That's just the reality in terms of games available to play.
Yeah, I expect
he's-
a bounce back year from Tevin Jenkins in Cleveland.
Hey,
and
I'll say this. I've dogged him the most on this show. I'm not rooting against the guy. It's
course
just the
not.
most skeptical signing that I have.
We knew that,
this
Sean.
offseason.
We knew
So,
that.
Yeah,
So-
and I just Go ahead, Kyle.
just the way you worded it, Brandon, like the guy the Bears fans hate the most besides Braxton. I don't think that anybody hates him.
No, you can't hate him.
Sorry, I meant the
Biggest
move,
question marks.
the acquisition they hated the most.
The
because there
players
was a
are
lot
most
of people-
hesitant.
I'll be honest, man. When you guys texted me when I was working that they acquired him, I was like,
See,
I felt much better about it after they went and got Tooney the next day.
yeah.
Like I was a little iffy on it, and then you get Tooney, and now you put those together, and you put
But I-
Dalvin in between
Yeah,
them.
and I have
I'm
faith in
feeling
Ben
good about it.
Johnson. Ben Johnson went and got him. And you know Ben Johnson told Ryan Poles, this guy's probably going to be available. The Rams are willing to move on from him. Go get my guy back. And I think that means good things for Jonah Jackson.
I just want to say this again in case nobody heard me. Anyone who ever doubted Caleb's work ethic, his motivation to be the greatest, his smarts, his intelligence, his will to win, you're fucking dense. And if you're still doubting him now, you're fucking dense. Just look at what he's doing. He's not going to fail from a lack of effort and a lack of work. He is not.
Motivation.
from
Yeah,
that.
that's for
Yeah, no,
damn
that-
sure.
That will not be the case. If he fails, I think you'll most likely be saying the Bears failed him.
yeah,
And
but
your
Dante,
girl loves him.
I was going to say, Dante, when it comes to the zone blocking scheme, for me, I wouldn't say it's, the most difficult thing. I just think, it's mastering and, getting a lot of practice and repetition in it, especially at higher levels of play like the NFL. I think that, coordination and communication between your offensive line. So that's going to be huge.
A
to have
unit,
these guys
Sean, a unit. This
unit
line has
this
never been a
offseason.
unit in the last
I think
5
these are
years.
some of the keys that we're looking that you're looking for. You need that cohesion. You need to be
Yeah.
that chain link fence. Every link has to be linked together.
And we say that we don't mean blocking one another.
Correct. Yeah, no, not blocking one another. No more of that. No more of that. But and again, yeah, and Dante, if they don't have that time, that repetition together in practice, then yeah, I think it could be a disaster for the Chicago Bears. But hopefully these guys can stay together, and the backups. It seems as though even early in OTAs, they're putting the twos with the ones with the twos, and they're trying to make both units be cohesive together, and that's something that I'm really enjoying to see. They're flip-flopping Trapilo and Amagaji at left tackle, and that's going to continue. And switching guards. Bill Murray's been switching in and out with Jonah Jackson. So these guys are switching out. They're getting the repetition and the time together. Hopefully, it just continues to build and build and build. And like I said, for me, I'm not going into this season saying, hey, the Bears are going to be 7-0. I think hopefully they can sneak out some games, but I think when they actually get into this, it might be a little difficult the first couple of weeks. But I think as the season moves along, I think you'll see great strides because there's a lot of intelligent football players on this team, in my opinion, anyways. Kyle, Brandon, anything?
I agree with you, Sean. And I find myself, and you know what? You guys know me. I'm the last person to show any bias, and I stay well grounded in my expectations for Bears seasons. But I think I have a lot more faith, I think, than the average Bears fan does when it comes to this season, man. If Ben Johnson is a special head coach, and I know he's learning, and Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback who's already got his rookie year under his belt, this thing, guys, could turn good real quick. And I'm not talking about Super Bowls. I mean, you might see the improvements that you're expecting to see in 2 years from now, about halfway through this season. I believe that. And like you said, Sean, they got a bunch of football guys who have high IQs. Kyle said it himself when he watched the interviews with these rookies and Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Luke Newman, Ozzie Trapilo. These are smart, intelligent players. And if they have a good leader who can identify what it is they're supposed to do and what's expected of them, I mean, guys, it just takes working your ass off. That's all it takes. And Ben Johnson said it time and time again. He's got to work. Nothing worth doing comes easy.
Yeah.
And these guys are all going to bust their ass. And I think you're going to start to see the fruits of their labor on the field a lot earlier than you think. That's what because of this, Sean. I don't know about, I love Ben Johnson from what I've seen so far. I don't know what he's going to be as a head coach in the NFL. I think Caleb Williams is a very special player. And I'm not saying this just as a Bears fan. I'm saying this as a guy who's been a fan of him since he was at Oklahoma. This kid has the potential and the tools to be the best quarterback in the NFL. And like Dustin said, he's going to strive to be it. There's no doubt about that.
Real quick.
What up, Cliff?
Thanks
for joining us.
Some of these chats here. Dante Purified says, Sean, Ben Johnson values intelligence. Hopefully the learning curve is short. Flex Dig says his bounce back player is DeAndre Swift as well. Calvin C says he's from West Virginia, and everyone there says we drafted the wrong quarterback. He just smiles and says, we'll see. Thanks for joining us from West Virginia, Calvin. We appreciate
that approach.
Yeah, Cliff Victoria. I haven't seen him in here in a while. Cliff, it's always nice to see you, man. He says, Bears look great. Let's see the game. On paper, Bears look great. It's nice to have you back here, Cliff. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Anybody watching on Twitter, please over go to our YouTube channel and hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. We really appreciate you guys. And then Erica says, Eric the Enemy telling Manungai, you move your like an old ass man. I love that. About time we have real coaching.
Yeah, check us out, guys. We're on TikTok now, guys. Check us out. We're doing our best with that. None of us are real familiar with Tick or Talk.
And Furious, do some weird choreographed dances. Maybe we'll figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
Let's see it, Sean.
Eyes up. Nice. Hit. Come on. Come on. You look like an old ass man. Hit. Come on. Nice.
For those of you watching, if you go back and watch when that clip first starts, if you look at that kid
like
Hankins, if you look at that kid Hankins standing next to those guys, he is a
big
fucking freak of a man, dude.
Hey,
that kid is huge.
Brandon's obsessed with Hankins.
Did you see how smooth Roshan looked in that drill?
Much faster than Manungai, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, jumping over pads on the ground. These guys look great. He
didn't look like an old ass man. They're getting tackled. For sure. Hey,
Listen,
hey, Dustin, I don't think I could get through that. I'm gonna be honest with my head up. I don't know. I'd eat it.
The enemy is going to ride Manungai's ass all year. This is the enemy's favorite thing to do. Get a rookie project and beat the shit out of them all season and get the best out of them. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch all season. Not and physically, he's gonna do it all. All of it.
It's gonna be domestic. That's what's gonna happen.
I can't wait.
All right, boys, we're gonna hit this over to the next segment of the show, and we got the keys to the NFC North here.
Pierce, what's up, brother?
Does Ben Johnson own the keys to the NFC North? Because as an offensive coordinator, this guy has actually owned the NFC North. Obviously, we have no record with him versus the Lions, but against the Green Bay Packers as an offensive coordinator in his career, he was 6-6. He was a coordinator's coach and then or tight ends coach and a quarterback's coach, and then moved over a game coordinator, excuse me, whatever they call that fucking guy. But since moving over to a coordinator, 5-1 against the Green Bay Packers, averaging 24.8 points while holding the Packers to 19.8. This is even better against the Minnesota Vikings and Ben Flores' defense. He is 4-0 and averaging 30 points per game. Absolute domination in the NFC North. Boys,
Yeah, we know what he's done to the Bears.
Yeah, if you include the Bears, I mean, in 18
taking the
games,
Bears out. He's on our side now.
in 18
As a
games,
coordinator, he's 5-1 against the Chicago Bears as an
overall,
offensive coordinator.
15-3 against the NFC North.
Can I say there's a reason
Actually,
I
if you
awarded
include the
that?
playoff game against the Packers, he's 16-3.
Okay.
There's also since Brian Flores has been the defense coordinator in Minnesota, that 7 times they've given up 30 points or more. Ben Johnson's responsible for 4 of them.
Yep. He
And he's
seems to
4-0.
have their number. He seems to have.
And
their
here, I
number.
got a question with what the Bears have now on offense. Do you think there's any reason why he can't game plan and give us confidence? The Bears are starting 1-0 on September 8th from Soldier Field on Monday night.
I think Dennis Allen's game plan is going to be a little more important than that one. Sean, if J.J. McCarthy's the starting quarterback.
Yeah, we need to beat the
Eat
hell
that
out
kid
of
alive.
McCarthy. Yeah, that's.
I would
just.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know what the all-time record, Sean. I think you actually said it on the show once of quarterbacks is for the
100%, Cliff.
NFL Premier, but I'm pretty sure it's like
Oh, yeah, we looked it up.
14-35. So the odds are not in J.J. McCarthy's
42.
favor. So we're not just talking about the Bears odds in a biased fashion. Guys who play quarterbacks who play their very first game in the NFL don't often survive it, man. So I like that. But Sean, I do think that Ben Johnson's familiarity with these defensive coordinators and the game of chess that he's been able to play against them. I think there was even an interview where Brian Flores said, "This guy is a thorn in my side. He's a pain in the ass." Ben Johnson has definitely gotten the best of all of the defensive coordinators, including Matt Eberflus in this NFC North. And yes, I think it's a huge advantage for the Chicago Bears. But just in general, against the NFC North, I don't want to forget how familiar Ben Johnson is with the Detroit Lions. I know he's no longer the coach on that team, but he knows Dan Campbell's weaknesses and strengths. And Dan Campbell does have weaknesses because if you use his aggression against him, you can defeat him. I mean, and Ben Johnson knows it because he's been on the losing side with that Detroit Lions team.
Yeah, and you can out aggressive him too, which Dan Quinn did in the NFC playoffs this past year against the Lions as well. I mean, there is stuff on paper that Ben Johnson can utilize. And like you said, he has intimate knowledge of that Lions roster. He has intimate knowledge of what they want to do. I mean, now the one thing you're going to talk about here is Aaron Glenn is gone. So their defensive tendencies are going to change. So that's going to be something for Ben Johnson because he's not going against the same defense he was going up against in practice these past couple of years. So there will be a change there, but Dan Campbell can be got. That is 100% for sure. And then you talk about the losses that they've had outside of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. It hopefully it levels the playing field a little bit for this Bears team that's trying to be on the come up and this Lions team that's trying to stay on top.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson is definitely. This is the most intriguing team in the NFC North, guys. No doubt about it. I think a lot of fans are kind of stuck on the fence of where they believe the Chicago Bears are going to finish. I don't know. I think Sean, what did they say? 7.5 as Vegas has them at? Is it 7.5?
8.5.
8.5 right now. Yeah.
The fact that they put them right pretty much smack dab in the middle there, I don't really think anybody knows what to expect from.
It's exactly where they were last year.
The Bears.
8.5.
And it would not surprise me, guys, that of the 6 games they play against their own division, that if he gets majority of his wins there, honestly, it really wouldn't surprise. You know, the Browns and the Raiders, you like to think those are going to be a walk in the park for this Bears team, but he's familiar with this. He's familiar with these divisional teams.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I think there's a chance that the Bears could finish with at least a 3-3 record against the division that some fans call the best in the NFL.
What's up, Guy Finley? The Bears.
Don't call me Guy, friend.
Dude.
Thanks for joining the show, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Guy,
I agree
Is
with
Guy
you.
new? This guy new,
No,
guys?
he's been on a few shows, and he
Okay.
actually found us on Twitter and followed us on Twitter. So thank you for
No,
so much for that as
he's in
well,
a
guy.
short. I made a short about guy.
I like what he said.
Thanks for
man.
coming back, guy.
The Bears just cut the brains out of Detroit. I agree with you 100%. I will say this, man. I do expect, like, I'm not saying that it's going to be the exact same defense. Obviously, Aaron Glenn has since left Detroit, but I think they're going to have a little bit of the same terminology there, guys. And I think Ben Johnson is going to have kind of a key insight as to what's going on. And I think he's going to know what they're going to be a step ahead of them a little bit. And I expect the more the season goes on, Detroit will change things up and they'll adapt. But I think early week 2, I think Ben Johnson might have some surprises for Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. And I wouldn't be out of the possibility of the Chicago Bears going into Detroit and beating them. The Bears play against the Lions anyway to begin with, even before Ben Johnson got here. And I think, like Justin said, I mean, is it going to be different in Detroit because of a new offensive coordinator, new defense coordinator? Absolutely. But I do think they're going to have some of the same tendencies. And I think Ben Johnson knows what those are.
Well, he certainly knows what those player tendencies are. And we certainly know that Ben Johnson is a dude that is going to be up for that game. That second game against the first time they're playing against Detroit, Ben Johnson is going to be hyped. Ben Johnson is going to want to win that game and stick it to his former team. The competitiveness that he has, he is not going to want to go there and lose. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. And I think if you're talking about does he have an advantage against these teams, you have to look at the fact that he has gotten the better of defensive coordinators within this division. You have to look at the fact that he does have that intimate knowledge of what the offense in Detroit is going to do, and he certainly has that intimate knowledge of the offensive players' tendencies and what they want to do. So he's going to be in Dennis Allen's ear that whole week leading up to that game, saying, you know, this is what Amon-Ra St. Brown wants to do. This is where we can get Laporta confused. You know what I'm saying? Like, that insight is going to be huge, and the Lions don't have that for the Bears. That's just an advantage that other team does not have.
Guys, let me get
Johnson
this comment real quick. Eric, I want to know if you guys think there's any validity to this right here, because this is the first thing I thought about when I heard the news this morning that Frank Ragnow was going to retire. She says, Eric says Ragnow knew the Lions Super Bowl when it was closed and probably realized golf is not it, so he chose to retire. Do you guys believe that if Frank Ragnow believed 100% factual, or at least a 90% chance that the Detroit Lions are going to win the Super Bowl this year, do you think he retires?
I think he retires either way.
Well, he
This
was
guy's
having,
walking away from that money.
We didn't bring it up. He was having contract issues with the Detroit Lions all off season. He's been asking for more money and said he might even hold out. And the Detroit Lions did not sit down and negotiate a contract with them. So I mean, I think he's leaving. I think he's leaving there with a bad taste in his mouth. I'm going to be honest.
Well, Cliff is saying he had years left on his deal. I think it's a straight physical ability thing.
They've been reporting all off season that he was asking for more money.
Well, maybe he wanted more money based on his performance, but the Lions were like, "No, we have you in a contract," and that could have led to some bad blood for sure, Brandon. But I don't think that it has anything. I think that's just a Bears fan talking shit, Kyle. You're asking about Erica's comment, and that's cool. That's fun. That's why we're here.
I think that's why I think that 100% contributed to the early retirement of Barry Sanders and Megatron. I think they were like, I'm not going to win a Super Bowl here, so what's the point of me staying? This is stupid. Wasting my time.
They weren't playing on teams that were the number one team in the NFC and went 15-2 last year.
No, I mean,
they weren't playing on those types of teams, man.
If you look at
he's got 2 years left on his contract.
Post that he put out today, it seemed very heartfelt, and it seemed that his body is giving up on him at 29 years old.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying, Sean. Everybody in the NFL plays a physical game.
Me.
Everybody, right? Everybody's got bumps and bruises. Everybody's probably thinking about the future and the injuries they're sustaining. I think everybody, like Tua Tagovailoa, Jaquan Brisker, I think all these guys are like, man, is this worth it? But in the back of their head, I think a lot of these guys are like, to win a Super Bowl would be worth it. Like, if I could win a Super Bowl in the NFL, that was my dream since I've been a little kid. This is what I practiced my entire life. This was my goal on my 5th grade English project, win a Super Bowl in the NFL. I'm so close. I'm in the NFL. I can do this. I think part of the decision to retire has to be, are the Lions really good enough to win a Super Bowl? I mean, maybe not Frank Ragnow, but I think a lot of these guys, like, why continue to put your body in harm's way if you're Barry Sanders or Megatron, if you don't think your team's going to win a championship?
There's one other team in the NFC, though, that he could think that he has a better chance to win a Super Bowl with than the Lions, and that's the Eagles.
I don't know, unless he thinks there's something going on in Detroit in the front office.
There's no way anybody on that team is thinking we're in for a bad year. We're in for regression.
I'm not saying
There's
bad
no
year,
way.
The Eagles were almost. Sean and I said the Eagles were winning the Super Bowl before the season started. That's what we said. I'm like, they have the best roster in the NFL.
before the season started last year, I'm like, the Eagles have the best roster in the NFL. I wonder if Frank Ragnow believes that the Lions have fallen further and further and further from that team, from the Philadelphia. I think he's like, last year, I think we would have been the second best team in the NFC. This year, I think I'll put us at fourth. Like
I think speculate on that is reckless. That is reckless.
Hold on.
That is reckless.
I mean, Dustin, that's the same as saying that
Hold on,
Megatron, it's the same thing for Megatron or Barry Sanders, who came out years later and said, I was not going to win a championship in Detroit.
It's not the same thing, because you're talking about a team that was just the number 1 seed in the NFC last year.
You have no idea
what he's
Go ahead, Sean.
Detroit.
Let me read this really quick.
Absolutely no idea.
Please read it.
This is from Frank.
Vernon just said 10 wins.
Let's take the man at his word.
This
doesn't mean that's not in stone, is it?
Let Sean read this comment.
Jesus Christ.
This is what Ragnow said this morning, and this is what he put out. He said the past couple of months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm just not. It's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I have given this team everything I have, and I've thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply don't. I have to listen to my body, and this is one of the hardest decisions I've made in my life. The Lions organization has been absolutely incredible throughout this process, and I can't emphasize that enough. How grateful I am for this team and all their fans. It's been an absolute honor going to battle for you all. I am under the impression that this dude's body at 29 years old, a 4-time Pro Bowler, one of the best players in the freaking league, just his body, it happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, man. And you got to take that guy at his word. That seems genuine. That seems heartfelt, like a guy that was really tormented by this decision. Yes. I think if you're going to just go out and say that he thinks that he doesn't have a chance, that's just us from a fan's perspective, really looking at it in a
Bears. When players last year on the Chicago Bears were like the guys who are really, really close to PR, but they follow all the PR rules, the Cole Kmets who were like, hey, we just got to execute better. This is not the coaching staff fault. We need to execute better. Like, dude, that's a lying sack of shit statement. And you know it. You know in his head, he's like, this coaching staff is fucking pathetic and the Bears suck and we're not going to win with this coaching staff here. This is part of playing in the NFL.
So you think Frank Ragnow retired because he thought they don't have a chance?
Well, here, Dustin, here, let's look at the chat. Let's address the chat, Dustin. Erica says Lions window is closed. Dante says Lions are cooked. Kelvin says Lions are done. Vernon picked them at 10 wins. Sean said he's changing his from 12 wins to knocking win off. I mean, it sounds like everybody but you thinks the Lions
are
so
let me respond
than they were last year.
Let me respond, okay? Because if you want to underestimate the Lions, you're going to do that at your own peril. The Bears ain't done shit, guys. In the NFL, in the last few years, they have not done a fucking thing. They've had a great offseason. They've done that before, and they were at 8.5 wins last year, and we thought they were going to win 11, 10 games. Everyone was picking that. I am not underestimating anybody in this division, and the Bears should not either. And I think if you're coming at it from that perspective, you're coming at it from the perspective of a fan versus the perspective of a human being that's listening to a dude that wants to play in the NFL, could have been making this money, and is on a damn good team that just won 15 games. I don't think the fact that this team had some regression in terms of their staff and players has made him say, well, this is not worth it. I don't think any player on that Lions team is thinking this is not worth it. They're expecting to win the NFC North again, which they rightfully should, because they are the kings of the North right now. The Bears got to go take it. That's just.
I just want to clarify.
We have no idea where he believes his confidence is in them winning a Super Bowl this year. We don't know because we're not Frank Ragnow. We don't know what's going on.
Regardless, he could be making $13 million a year if he
their
played
coaching
football.
Replacement. I mean, dude, Barry Sanders could have made another $50 million. Kevin Johnson could have made another $50 million.
My projection.
Patrick Willis could have made another $50 million.
My Lions
Barry Sanders had done everything he needed to do.
I just want to clarify. My Lions projection has nothing to do with the Bears. Nothing to do with the Bears.
The Lions record for me has nothing to do with the Bears either. I'm not talking. I don't know.
I don't project the Lions will regress because of how the Bears improved. I project the Lions will regress because that's just what happens when you lose some of the best pieces of your organization.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
this is just the reality.
It's starting to pile up here a little bit, guys. I mean,
and for us to think that makes total sense, but to think that the players on that team would think that.
Listen, I was talking to T. I was talking to T, the Lions fan who comes in our chat, guys. And T, if you're out there, we love you. I was talking to T, and I said to him, it would be irresponsible to think that the Lions don't regress. after all of the loss. It really would. It's less
I know where my
logical
Lions fans are
to
today.
think it's less logical to think that the Lions improve after the loss of all the pieces that they've suffered versus them regressing, especially when you look at the fact that the guy who got the best out of Jared Goff is no longer coaching that offense. That's the thing to me that stands out
Regression
the
makes
most.
total sense. Regression
Yeah.
makes total sense. But if you're talking about regression from 15 wins, you're still a force to be reckoned with in the NFC. And Frank Ragnow would have been a big part of that. And I think that if he could play, he would want to play. If he felt he physically was able to.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to know anything about Frank Ragnow. I
don't either. I don't think that the Lions should be taken lightly because of these losses. The losses that they've had.
I also wouldn't put it past the player to try to consider what the projection of his
stuff
the
that's
team he
piling up,
plays
guys.
for is.
To lose your wide receiver coach, to lose your offensive coordinator who was ranked top 5 offense in the NFL for the last 3 years, to lose your defensive coordinator, you're like, oh my God, this is becoming is this a joke? Is this real life? And now their number 1 center in the NFC just retired off of their team. You guys,
So many
that's
people
a lot.
are focused
That's a
on
lot, guys.
I'm not
That is a lot.
so many people are focused on the
That is
loss.
100% it.
Bro.
So many people are focused on the
There's no way
loss.
that played into the center's decision to retire. I won't give that.
I would agree to that statement if he was 32, 33, 34, but at 29, still in the prime of his career, still going to Pro Bowl.
There's something to that.
I think his body gave up. I'm
There's
just saying,
something to that.
Maybe I just
Now here, Kyle, if
I
you
appreciate
really-
the comment.
when
When I first read the story, I was like, you know what, man?
Who cares?
If he
I
knew
will
for a
retire.
fact, like if God
And he's
came
not
down
a
to heaven
Bears
and was
player.
like, hey, Frank, you're winning Super Bowl this year, I think he would have stayed in the NFL.
My thought
That's
went to
just
a
me.
Bears player when I heard this news, guys. My thought went to Joe Tooney, a guy the Bears just traded for that is in his 30s, that has not missed any games. But you listen to Frank Ragnow talk about the beating that his body has taken and his ability to continue to feel good enough to do it. I think about Joe Tooney on this Bears team and how many more years does he have? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody else had that thought, but that was the first thought that popped in my head when I immediately related it to the Bears.
Well,
Joe Tooney.
What Frank Ragnow said is the message I was relaying earlier about Jaquan Brisker. At some juncture, when you have a wife and children and your body's given up on you, you're not just thinking about yourself, guys. These guys are putting their families in front of their decisions while they're weighing them. But I want to say this too. It's not just about the loss that Detroit has suffered, guys. It's about who's replaced the pieces they've lost. I'm concerned about that.
I don't know.
I'm a
man.
Lions fan,
Maybe
and you're hiring a guy who just came from Sean Payton's staff to call your plays, okay? It's like hiring Matt Nagy, guys. I mean, we did this. We've been through
because he wasn't the play caller.
Yes,
he was not the play
wasn't
caller.
doing this.
Yes,
it
yes.
wasn't his job there. And when he did do it in Arizona, he was terrible. And his offense was ranked 27th in the league.
Exactly.
So if I'm a Lions fan, who's replacing the Ben Johnsons on my football team is my biggest concern.
If they think they just got set back by a year, like if all the players on the team are like, hey, we're still good enough for the championship, but not this year, because now we got to figure out this whole new offense, this whole new defense. Instead of it winning, expecting to win a championship in 2025, we're expected in 2026. Maybe the guys who are like, well, I don't want to wait for 2026 because my body just don't have it. But if God came down from the heavens and told Frank Ragnow,
it could be a number of things that weighed in on Frank Ragnow, family health, where his team resides, his contract. There could be a lot of things. We don't know, and we're never going to know. We can only take him for his word. He said it's his body. That's what but there's a lot of.
I don't think it's a Kelvin Johnson, Barry Sanders situation.
It's not even close to me. No, I mean, listen, and if I was a Lions fan,
how old was Kelvin Johnson when he retired?
He was 29 or 28.
No, they both walked away because the Lions sucked.
Yeah,
They both walked away because the Lions sucked.
Yep, and they had already done everything they could do individually, and 100% their inability to find winning teams while they were there contributed to that.
Just because they don't have to retire. You're like, oh, the Lions suck, so I'm 29 of a contract. What do you mean? So that you just play out?
Barry Sanders stated he wanted to play for one team.
Calvin Johnson's
I think Calvin Johnson
anywhere he wanted to go.
Calvin Johnson.
Barry Sanders stated he wanted to play for nobody but the Lions.
Guys, I'll say this when in regards to the Lions because it's sparking a lot of conversation. If I were a Lions fan, I'd be freaking the fuck out. No doubt. This is a lot. This is a lot to lose. Yes. If I were a Lions fan, if this happened to the Bears, I would be freaking the fuck out.
And it feels like one of those situations where you're trying to convince yourself that it's all okay and nothing's going to because your roster is good and Dan Campbell's the guy. but you have to know that Jared Goff without Ben Johnson could be a very different Jared Goff, and B, the guy who they hired to replace the best play caller in the league wasn't fucking calling plays a year ago,
And like I
that's
was trying to,
concerning.
Now, and here,
luckily
and
the
that-
Bears are on the other side of that, man. But as a Bears fan, looking at the Lions, I still see
I'm
them
pretty
as
happy.
I'm happy for sure. These are regressions, and it does make it harder for them to be as good as they can be. But it does not mean that they can't still be better than the Bears. The Bears have still got to come with their A game to beat them.
Yeah, my
100%.
my
You still got to
Lions.
beat them to take the North.
That could
You
be
have
said
to do
about-
that.
The
Calvin
Minnesota
Johnson-
Vikings have the best roster in the NFC North. I mean, that could be said about any team the Bears have to play. Yeah, of
But
course
we're
you
talking
do.
about the Bears, though. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that,
Yeah, when the Bears play the Minnesota Vikings, whether the JJ McCarthy's quarterback or not, they have Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson,
Wait,
Justin
so can we-
Jefferson, one of the best
so hold
offensive
on,
lines
can
in
we go
football,
back-
one of the best defensive lines in football, one of the best coaches in football, one of the best defensive coordinators in football. Like,
So
all
can
these
we-
teams
can we
that-
get
obviously
back
they're
to-
going to have to come with their A game
Yeah,
every
so
time. We're
every
talking
week,
about the
yeah.
Lions, Kyle, and
Yeah,
I'm just
no.
not writing the Lions
Well,
off.
actually, we're talking
because
about the
they were
NFC
best
North. That's
team.
what.
Yeah, can we get back to-
this
can we get
show
back to
is,
the NFC?
Yeah,
Well,
Can we
I'll
get
just-
back to the
I'll just
difference?
say this. I'll just say this. Johnson left with 4 years, $67 million left on his deal.
Mhm.
So that for me, healthy.
Well, and I will say this, Kyle.
Johnson
Kyle,
came out and said,
I'll say this. I'll say
love
this, Kyle.
I did not think we were going to win a championship in
I'll
Detroit.
say this.
If Frank Ragnow says the same thing in 2 years. I'm gonna
It
be like,
begs to
okay.
question. It begs to question why Antoine Randall didn't remain in Detroit, and was he possibly a candidate for being the offensive coordinator on that football team because they hired the defensive coordinator was just promoted from within. Antoine Randall left that team at the peak of their success to follow Ben Johnson here. There's a possibility that there is some sort of sentiment in this building that the window is closed. There is definitely probably that creeps into somebody's mind. I'm
I
sure.
think he was just tied
But-
to Ben Johnson, man. I think
but
that he
I-
just was committed to him,
listen,
not
I
Dan
wanna-
Campbell.
I want to get back. Unless he could have gotten a promotion, man.
And-
But I
and
want to get.
Barry- and here really
He
quick,
obviously
on
wasn't,
Barry-
or they wouldn't have
Barry-
let him go.
Barry Sanders, he signed a 6-year extension in '97 and retired before '99. So he could say he only wanted to play for Detroit. That also sounds like a player who was healthy and quit on Detroit because they sucked.
Well, first of all, Sean,
Nobody
Johnson
sounds like he was
not
telling the
healthy.
truth,
Kelvin
though.
Johnson missed a lot of time in the NFL. He was not healthy. He was not like the most.
But hold on.
healthy
I want to
player
get back.
on
To, I want to get back to the difference that hiring a coach from
Johnson
the
had
NFC North.
multiple injuries throughout his career, man.
Calvin Johnson did not miss a lot of time as a football player, dude.
Dude, no NFL player who plays in the NFL for 10 years is 100% healthy, Sean. Doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's the most violent
Here's his
sport in the
game.
world.
Here's his games played.
He
Kyle.
missed
This
two
is a
games. He missed
16
three
game year.
games, 2 games,
Kyle.
1 game, 2 games, 1 game. 5 of his 10 seasons,
Kyle.
he missed games, Sean.
That's
Yes.
pretty solid. That's a pretty
That's
solid.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
that's pretty solid for the NFL.
Welcome,
I'd say.
welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast.
I'm not
everybody.
saying it's not, but he still missed
pretty
games almost
solid.
half of his career.
Every
He missed
player
games half
misses
of his
games.
career. I mean, none of them are.
I wanna
healthy.
get-
Find players who
Yes,
play
no
every
shit,
game in the
None of
NFL.
them are healthy. I just said that. Nobody in the NFL
Here
is
we
ever
go.
100% healthy
Here
after
we
10
go.
years in the NFL, bro.
But you just
Guys,
Kyle,
who
exists,
gives
Kyle,
a shit
you
about this
listen, hold on,
conversation
time out.
anymore?
You literally just said to me he was a healthy player when he left the league. The guy missed 2 games
I
every
didn't
other
say he
year
was a
in
healthy
his
player.
fucking career.
You
You just said that to me.
No, I didn't. You said both.
You just said he
you
didn't
said
play
both
I
Barry
agree, Eric.
Sanders. You
Did he
said
not
both
just
Barry
say that
Sanders
2
and Calvin
seconds ago?
Johnson were really healthy. I said nobody in the NFL after 10 years is healthy. Nobody. They all have fucking terrible injuries after 10 years. Have you watched Jerome Bettis's walking?
You guys
down
want to
the-
answer? You guys want to answer Cliff's question here? I like this question from Cliff. Why does nobody ever talk about the Bears offensive coordinator? And then he
He's
says,
actually
LOL.
he's actually been front and center for all the media, Cliff, since the OTAs have started, especially following rookie camp. And Case
The
Keenum just said he's one of the most intelligent football individuals he's ever met. So I mean,
I believe it, but the reason he's not talked about is the same reason that you're not excited about the Lions offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
hire.
he's just not a play
going
caller.
to be calling the plays for the Chicago Bears, which I think Cliff was alluding to with his LOL, kind of like. But you got a guy in waiting that could potentially turn into that for you, which I like.
He's a young protege, and Cliff, you'll start to hear his name a lot more as the season goes on. But Dustin's right; he's just not carrying enough responsibility to care about. And until Ben Johnson feels comfortable passing him play calling, he's probably not going to really be the guy in front of the radar when it comes to Chicago Bears. But I do want to talk about this. When we talk about the benefits of hiring a coach from the NFC North and how Ben Johnson might have some insight on these teams that he's played and defensive coordinators, especially that he's beaten before, he also is inheriting the best weapon. This is the first time that Ben Johnson will coach the best quarterback in the NFC North. And call me crazy, guys, but I think the four of us can agree here that Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the NFC North. And I don't think that's going on a limb or being biased by saying so. JJ McCarthy's automatically excluded from this conversation. Jared Goff has been a good player. He's earned his money, but he's a system quarterback. And God knows what the hell happened to Jordan Love last year, because I was actually advocating for Jordan Love in his contract, and boy, did he fall short of expectations last season. But Ben Johnson is going to get the best quarterback in the NFC North. He's a quarterback's coach. He can get the best out of the best quarterback that's in the NFC North, and think that also gives him the upper hand over the teams, that the defensive coordinators that he's played before, because there's things Jared Goff just couldn't fucking do against the Brian Floreses in this league, right? I mean, Caleb Williams,
it's hard to argue that Caleb Williams isn't the best quarterback in the NFC North at this point. I mean, and you know, Guy says it right here, at the very least on the talent / ceiling for Caleb Williams, and you expect him to progress because of Ben Johnson and that partnership there. Erica says yes, agreed. Jordan Love is the worst. And Goff has cost the Lions games with interceptions. And I mean, Goff, any quarterback can, but I've just never been that big of a fan of Goff. And losing Ben Johnson is a big deal for Goff as well. And I don't think JJ McCarthy is a good quarterback. So I'm with you, Brandon. I think Caleb is the best quarterback in the NFC North. Kyle, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree 100%. It's kind of surprising because no disrespect, but Brendan, you used to love Jordan Love, and I mean, he's just to me.
I feel like I just confronted that.
Yeah, he's just inconsistent.
Well, not enough, Brandon. Confront it some more.
Well, listen. I think the market was going to dictate what Jared Love. The market was going to dictate.
I've always said George Love was very inconsistent. Sean, did you do it? Did I not? I mean, the guy played well for 8 games, and they made the highest paid player in the NFL. I didn't understand it at the time. Very Green Bay Packers, like they don't do shit like that.
And that being said, the Packers still went to the playoffs the last 2 years with Jordan Love as their quarterback, and they had to pay their quarterback, just like the Niners had to pay Brock Purdy. The way the Dolphins last year. No, for sure. They lost all the games to good teams as well. Yeah, Jordan Love was very inconsistent last year. He was, and he has a lot of work to do. But I think I've always thought Caleb Williams is better than Jordan Love.
The Packers went to the playoffs because of weak NFC. They didn't go to the playoffs because Jordan Love sucks. He's going to continue to suck because he's.
Yeah, I don't like Jordan Love at all. If the Bears,
I don't think he sucks. I don't know. I think he took a step back last year in his development. I mean, Jordan Love
and quarterbacks do that. That happens.
Jordan Love is just a young kid trying to learn this game, man, at a very high level, and he's a Packers player for sure. And we could love to hate him, but like Dustin said, he's taken his team to success. And with guys, listen, we talk about Ben Johnson all day and what Caleb Williams might be. Matt LaFleur is not known for sinking quarterbacks. I mean, that's not his reputation. The guy's got a pretty damn good record himself against the NFC North, and I think that as long as Matt LaFleur's there, Jordan Love will probably continue to win football games. But I just think Caleb has a set of skills that nobody in this division, especially Jared Goff,
particular set of skills.
Exactly.
He's going to be 27 this year. Not young.
And I hate to tell you, he's 18 and 15 as a professional.
I think we're missing the point here.
All I'm saying
based around Caleb Williams, we can just talk about the NFC North on this podcast.
All I'm saying, Brendan, is 27 years old. That might just be who you are. I don't think you're a young kid learning a game. This might just be who you are in the NFL.
I mean, what is it?
27 years old. This is supposed to be his prime, bro. This is supposed last year, this year, next year was 26 to 29 should be your prime.
What is this? His 5th year?
That should be your best years in the NFL.
5th year.
You've had enough time.
He's coming into his 5th year.
He's coming into his 5th year.
So you guys think that Caleb Williams will have reached a ceiling by year 5 and won't progress at all?
Yes, I think he will have reached his ceiling.
I really pray not.
Yeah, no, you kind of want to see that development continue. And guys,
by year 5,
you should be hitting your plat. You should be hitting like a peak, but you should not be dropping from there as well. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I don't know if you should.
You should be hitting your prime.
Yeah, what do you
should be hitting your prime, but you also should be getting better.
By year
the
5,
best quarterbacks have.
Caleb be like hitting his prime, which is winning Super Bowls.
in
by 5 years in the NFL.
So your prime is winning Super Bowls? Is that the only prime that a quarterback can have?
I mean, if you're talking about outside of his personal goals, as a Bears fan, yes, that's exactly where the prime. You need to win Super Bowls.
That's done by
cool.
a team, though, man, for sure. But and listen, you want to have a quarterback that's good enough to get your team in position to win.
Good
Is Josh Allen in that prime? He hasn't won a Super Bowl, but is Josh Allen in that prime?
Good enough to put his team in that position to win Super Bowls? Yeah, by year 5, yes. And Jordan Love has not done that. Making the playoffs to get knocked out in the first round is not putting your team.
Had Josh Allen done that by year 5?
Yeah, he's been he's been more than one. You won a playoff game, yeah, by year 5.
But he hadn't put his team in position.
You know what my expectation level is right now? Patrick Mahomes.
But how do you
Caleb Williams?
5,000 freaking yards.
But how do you define?
That's my expectation.
But how do you define?
Sean Patrick Mahomes did it his first full season.
Listen,
in the second year in the NFL. Yeah.
Prospect. This is the greatest.
Yeah, they said Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes did his rookie season.
No. Patrick Mahomes is supposed to be
MVP.
Even a good NFL quarterback based on what they said with him coming out. I can find his scouting report and read it to you because it was this guy takes too many chances.
How do you define
He'll never be a front-end starter in the NFL.
How do you define suck?
Greatest quarterback we've ever seen.
Why are you guys yelling? How do you define suck? How do you define suck? Jordan Love last year was ranked 16th in the NFL. The year prior he was ranked 12th. How do you define suck?
No, he's overrated.
Where does the word suck?
With my eyes, dude. I watch him. He's not overrated. That good. He's
so if Caleb's ranked 12th in the NFL next year, he sucks.
Oh
no, that's going to be progression for Caleb. That's going to be
playoff games.
Caleb's going to his second year in a new system, bro.
Okay, but Lamar Jackson doesn't win playoff games, and he's a 2-time MVP.
Yeah, he's overrated as well. To me personally,
oh my God. Lamar Jackson. Okay, that's where I have to step away from this conversation. I don't think I can because
I mean, when it comes to what he's paid, the market is the market. When it comes to what he does on the field, he will throw the football to the other team more than you would like him to, and that puts you in position to lose games. Jordan Love needs to get better at that if he's gonna.
Guys, the goal is to win Super Bowls, and the Baltimore Ravens have given Lamar Jackson a good enough team to win a Super Bowl. They have. The guy has a good enough team around to win a Super Bowl. He just can't.
And Lamar Jackson's given them a good enough performance as well. Lamar Jackson has played well.
If you put Patrick Mahomes on the Baltimore Ravens roster, he's winning a Super Bowl. Like it's not even a question. He's winning the Super Bowl.
That's not a correct statement.
Not a question.
What's not a correct statement? Did Lamar Jackson play well enough to win that game in the playoffs?
Sucks, dude.
The last game he played in the playoffs, did he play well enough? He played at the same level as Josh Allen in that game. Did he not? He did. He did. If you look at the stats,
look at his stats. His playoff stats are worse than his regular season stats.
Lamar Jackson is a surefire way to derail this podcast. But listen, it's preference. It comes down to preference. If you had Lamar Jackson on the Chicago Bears, I think you'd be a pretty big fucking fan. I really do, because you were a fan of Justin Fields.
No,
I mean, come on.
I'm a guy who, I want Super Bowls. That's what I want. And anybody who watches football who doesn't, if the end goal is result is I want a Super Bowl. If that's not your end, if that's not what you want, if you're like, I want a quarterback who's here for 10 years and breaks a ton of records, makes the playoffs every year, but never wins a Super Bowl, instead of a quarterback who wins one Super Bowl and sucks for the rest of his career, you're an idiot. You're dumb.
Right, but
why are you watching the game?
Dustin said,
you have to be there to have a chance, man.
Right, and like Dustin said, Josh
Allen. Right now, I would take Trent Dilfer over Lamar Jackson's career. You know why? Because he won a fucking Super Bowl.
But Kyle,
that's a stupid statement.
Josh Allen has fallen just as short.
You don't want
a Super Bowl. Matter. It doesn't matter.
Lamar Jackson doesn't win a Super Bowl.
Whether
Lamar Jackson's career over
Josh Allen.
You want to talk about Josh Allen?
He's fallen just as short.
Go look at Josh Allen's numbers all time in the playoffs.
But you're talking about playoff wins, not playoff performance. You're talking about playoff wins.
They dwarf Lamar Jackson.
It doesn't, Sean.
You said it on your own mouth, Brandon. The reason Buffalo hasn't won was because
of
the defense,
yes,
not because of Josh Allen.
But Sean, I've never said anything negative. I've never said anything about negative about Josh Allen, but I'm not crazy enough to say anything negative about a 2-time MVP because that's just asinine. It's ridiculous.
The NFL is the biggest joke of an award in the entire freaking sport.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is a very bad football player.
If Caleb Williams wins the MVP, it's a joke of an award.
Was the MVP of the league Josh Allen?
Possibly on this podcast who would
Here,
take
can we
Dan
answer
Marino's
this
career
question
over
right
Eli
now?
Manning?
Was the MVP of the league last year Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or
It
Saquon
needs
Barkley?
its own referee. Guy Finley, you got to play referee for us today.
Yeah, we
Can
need it.
can someone answer that for me?
I didn't hear your question, man.
Who
You
was
got
the
to back up
MVP
from the
last
mic
year?
a little bit.
Who was the MVP last year? Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, or Saquon Barkley?
Or
The
Joe Burrow?
MVP of the league was
Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen.
Who should have been the MVP of the league last year?
Josh Allen.
Joe Burrow.
Josh Allen over Saquon
Burrow.
Barkley?
Yeah,
Are
I
you
think so.
I think
Yeah,
Josh Allen's
so, yeah.
defense was
Are
ass.
you insane?
Joe Burrow.
I think Josh Allen's defense was egregiously bad, and he took his team pretty
Yeah, he
damn far.
carried that
Hold on.
team to the AFC Championship.
Saquon
man.
Barkley carried his team to a
Sean,
Super
you can't be the
Bowl.
MVP on the Eagles. The
He-
whole
he-
roster is stacked top to bottom. There's no MVP on that football
Listen,
team.
Saquon Barkley was second to me. Josh Allen should have won his
I'm going
first
to tell you
MVP
this right
last
now.
year.
You know Josh Allen's my favorite player in the league. Saquon Barkley was the most valuable player in that league because if you take him off that
like
team,
around the horn
the
on
Eagles
speed.
don't win the Super Bowl.
I saw that. That was good. That's a good comment.
Did we have anything else? Was it the roster cuts, Sean? Did we get to those? Did you have anything you wanted to talk about with that? Maybe we can level this thing out. I mean,
Sean-
Lamar
Sean-
Jackson, Josh Allen, both very good quarterbacks, guys.
Joe
Both
Burrow
very
last year. Joe
That's
Burrow
my
last
son.
year had 4,918 yards and 43 pass touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
I mean, Joe
I'll say it again.
Burrow probably
He had
deserved the MVP.
4,918 yards,
Okay, but if
43
you're not in the
touchdowns, and
playoffs-
9 interceptions, bro.
If you're not on a winning team, you can't be the MVP, guys. You got to be a
Oh,
top
what?
team.
And
in
Sean-
it.
and
That's the
Sean's right,
GM's fault.
and Sean's right, and it's a dumb award. If you're the
No,
most
it's not a
valuable
dumb
player,
award.
go
You can't be the
on
most
team.
valuable player to a team that ain't even in the playoffs, guys. You can't be the most valuable player in the league if your team is not successful. How
So
valuable
you're
are
just-
you to your team?
How many wins- how many wins did
It's
they
an
have?
11 protects
That makes
11 players
no
from the Super Bowl.
sense.
It's not Joe
That makes
Burrow's
no
fault. It's
sense.
Joe Burrow's fault. He has the worst defense in the NFL. That's Joe Burrow's fault.
When
Joe
does
Burrow.
Thank
any
you, Flex
team-
Diggs. I'm with you, Flex Diggs.
What's
I
he
think
saying?
Lamar Jackson is what everybody wanted Justin Fields to
Yeah, and
be.
you notice how nobody said that they were fans of Justin Fields when he was on the Bears. Like you wouldn't be a fan of
I'm
Lamar
a fan of
Jackson.
Justin Fields. Why wouldn't I be? He's my Chicago Bears
Okay,
quarterback.
So if Lamar Jackson was on the Bears, you'd be saying
not
he's the best
sitting here
quarterback of all
rooting
fucking
against him
time
like
because
some
Justin
people in this
Fields
group
was
who
ass and we were
actively
told
rooted
he was
against
good.
him, Brandon. You know
What?
You
No,
actively
just
rooted against
realistically
Justin Fields
looked
because
at
he
the
wasn't your
performance.
quarterback.
No, I just wanted him
Never
not
do
to
that
be.
to a
I wanted
Chicago
him.
Bears
I wanted
quarterback.
him not to be my quarterback because I'm smarter than everyone else who
Actively
thought he was
rooted
good.
against his success in the NFL as the quarterback of your football team. That
I
is
wanted
egregious.
him to not be my quarterback, Sean, and I was right. And guess
For
who
the
else
record-
didn't want him to be the
for the
quarterback?
record-
Ryan Poles
For the
didn't want him to
record,
be the
both
quarterback. of his
both
football
Johnny
team.
Unitas and OJ Simpson were named league MVP without their team making the playoffs. Just for the record.
Okay, and
And the
Johnny
Jets
Unitas
are about to
made it
suffer the same consequences of Justin Fields. The New York Jets are going to suffer it
That-
all over.
the way that record is handed out has changed a lot since OJ Orenthal, James Simpson played football, guys.
So?
It's changed a lot.
What does
What do
that
you
mean?
mean?
Should it have?
Yeah, for you to say the MVP is a dumb award is a silly statement.
dumb
And for you to
award,
say
though.
that because a player who wasn't on a winning team, a team that didn't even make the playoffs, didn't win the MVP, that makes it a dumb award. That
Listen,
does not
2 years
substantiate what
two
you're
years
saying
ago-
at all. It
2
does
years
not.
ago,
Austin, what you're
Lamar
saying is
Jackson-
Joe Burrow needs.
Popularity
You're
time.
saying Joe Burrow needs to take the blame
Don't
for
you
the
guys
Bengals.
love
defense.
this?
No, I'm
That's what
saying
you're
Joe
saying.
Burrow needs to help
He
his team
scored
win
50 points
to
twice
win the
and
MVP.
lost. He scored
And-
50 points
and
twice
his
and
team needs
lost
to
his
win
game.
for him to win.
Illinois
MVP.
Jones, what's up, man?
That's what
Hey,
I'm saying.
Hey, Dustin, 2 years ago, this is actual factual because I brought it
Actual
up to you guys.
factual. Let's do it.
Factual. I have it. I can find it and dig it up. When he won his second MVP award, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen was also on a winning
If that
team,
is your real
also
name.
in the playoffs, and Lamar Jackson had a worse season than
What
Josh Allen, but they handed the award to Lamar
Guy
freaking
Finley.
Jackson.
Guy
Yeah,
Finley,
because
who
Lamar
was it?
Jackson was the top
Stupid
team in the
award.
AFC.
Guy Finley, who
team
was
is
it?
one of the best teams
Walter
of all
He
time
Payton.
in terms
lost
of
in the
performance.
first round with home
Yeah, I
field
understand. It's not a playoff award, though, is it? It's a regular season award.
Hey, Guy
and Lamar
Finley's got a
Jackson had a
question.
better season that year
Guy-
than he did the year he
Guy
won the
Finley's
MVP
got a
before.
trivia
Hold
question
on, you
for
just
us.
said, hold on. You just said it's a regular season award.
It
So
is.
then you would be on the boat on the same ship.
You need to have a
Terrell
successful
the
regular
year
regular
that he
season.
won his second award.
Thanks for the fact, Guy
Josh
Finley. I
Allen
would
had
not
a
have guessed
better
Terrell
year.
Davis, I'll be honest.
He shouldn't
Terrell
have
Davis
won.
from the
Josh Allen
Broncos.
should have won.
What's the
No,
last
I mean,
running
Josh
back?
Allen won last year, and he should have won, and Lamar
That was
Jackson
a
should have
big
won the year before.
Josh
They're
Allen
both very
should've won
good
twice.
quarterbacks.
Lamar Jackson.
They're
should have
both
won
very
one.
good quarterbacks.
That's the facts.
And again, if Lamar Jackson was the Chicago quarterback, you would have
Carl
a very
just-
different
Carl,
perspective.
you chose
on
a good time to join.
I love
buddy.
you, Carl.
We're talking about MVPs, Carl. That's what we're talking about. I guess I don't even know where this conversation is.
Listen,
But, yeah,
I can
we had
say Josh Allen is a damn good quarterback. The fact that you can't say Lamar Jackson is a damn good quarterback shows bias in where you're
I
coming
think
from.
Lamar
That's just
Jackson
the
is a
reality.
really good regular season quarterback. Do I want this guy as my quarterback in the spotlight under the pressure of big time games? No, because he loses them. This isn't me talking. Look at his record. He loses big games. This is why I would not want him
It's
as
not
my quarterback.
debatable. It's not debatable. It's not
You
debatable.
want to have fantasy
He's not
stats?
good at
Yeah,
those
but
fantasy
then
stats?
Lamar Jackson.
Guy Finley, what year was that? I'm curious. What year was the last time a running back won MVP?
That would be 98. That would be 98.
Yeah, that had to be
Sean Alexander.
2 decades ago.
No,
What?
but he said Super Bowl as well.
If there's
Terrell,
any
Sean
year,
Alexander did
if
not
there
win a
was
Super
any
Bowl.
year that a running back should have won the MVP, it was last freaking year. It is just handed to
What about the year before that with Christian
a
McCaffrey?
dumb quarterback.
What about the
There you go.
what
They
about the
just
year
keep
before that with
handing it-
C-Mac?
They just keep handing it to quarterbacks. That's why it's a stupid award. Just call it the quarterback award. It's not an
Saquon
MVP.
Barkley. Saquon Barkley won Offensive Player of the Year.
Sean, that is a very good point. 100%.
No, for sure. And they
it should
do
be
the
called the
obligatory
quarterback
thing.
MVP. It should be
Saquon
called
Barkley
the
won Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and
He
they
should
do
have
the
won
obligatory
MVP.
thing. They give them the offensive. C-Mac won Offensive Player of the Year before that when he should have been in consideration for MVP. It is a quarterback award. There is no doubt about it, and it will
It's not
continue
the
to
most
be
valuable player
because
in the league.
because as you guys continue to say, the quarterback is the most important
Well, let me
position in
ask you
football,
this.
and
Let me
that's what
ask
it
you
boils
this.
down to.
Do the
In
Eagles
sports.
win the Super Bowl
Not in
last
football,
year
in
if Saquon
sports.
Barkley is
Guy
not
Finley
on
says,
that
"Yeah,
football?
98." What'd
No.
you say, Sean?
No. Sean,
Does Barkley? Do
2
the Eagles win the
decades.
Super
No.
Bowl?
That's
last year
never going to
without
happen.
Barkley
Again.
on
No.
that team.
No.
No, of course not. Of course not.
That makes him the most valuable player. Thank you.
It makes him the most valuable player of the playoffs for sure. But Josh
Only
Allen,
here, guys. Only a
but
4
Sean,
star.
without Josh Allen last year, the Bills don't even touch the playoffs. Not only do they not get close to a Super Bowl, they don't even touch the playoffs without Josh Allen.
Alan Pena says QBs get MVP because of the production.
Yeah, the wins and
Sean, I agree with you,
fall on their
Sean.
shoulders.
Sean, I agree with you. It was ultimately up to Saquon Barkley whether or not he wanted to break the NFL rushing record. He decided not to. Even
I
if
do
he did, he still would not have
see this.
received
I do
the
see this.
MVP. Justin said it was good in the playoffs. He said
I do see this, though.
He could have broken
When-
the regular season rushing record. He decided not to.
I do want to say this, though.
He still would not
when
have
we
been
talk
the
about
MVP, even
MVP,
if he
going-
did.
No,
when
he
we talk-
wouldn't have.
quarterback.
when we talk about this
It's
being
the
a quarterback,
award.
my
That's what
God,
it is.
man.
Sean's right.
Shut the fuck up. When we
It's
talk
the
about
quarterback
quarterbacks winning the MVP, okay, we say it's a quarterback award, and that a running back should be able to win this too because Saquon Barkley was more important. But then when we talk about a team's inability to win in the playoffs, when we talk about the losses,
It falls
we
on the
throw it all on the
quarterback.
quarterback.
It
It's
falls on
Lamar
the
Jackson's
quarterback.
strictly
wins and
responsible for the fact that
You
the
do.
Baltimore
You do.
Ravens don't have the ability to win a
guys
playoff
might.
game.
It's
So-
not
you
Derrick
guys-
Henry's. It's not Derrick Henry's
I know.
fault. It's Lamar.
It's a
Jackson's
collective.
fault.
It's a collective. But look at Lamar Jackson's stats. They're not as good in the playoffs as in the regular season. They're not. They're
But you have
not.
to accept what I just said is the
They're
truth.
not.
Touchdowns in the playoffs.
It doesn't matter
That's
about the
the
win loss.
problem.
The stats drop off, guys. He becomes a worse player in the playoffs than he is in the regular season.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
Go
guy.
look at
I
it.
agree with you.
His
It's
touchdown
dead.
interception
You're
ratio
never
in the
going to see
regular
it again,
season
Guy
is
Finley.
like 3-1. In the playoffs, it's 1-1.
If anybody in this panel was shocked that Saquon Barkley didn't win MVP, stop watching sports. That's all I have to. Because if you think a running back's going to win MVP ever again, then you're out of your goddamn mind.
Like guys saying here that the day of the
Yeah.
running back in the NFL
It's
died a long
done.
time ago.
That's
They're
not going to
disposable.
happen.
And
That's
that's
not going to happen.
Listen, the running game is coming back to the NFL in a big way, and running backs are becoming more important. But that position will win the award going forward, the quarterback position, because they do carry the wins and losses on their shoulders. That's just the way that the game works.
But then
It's
if you
the
have
most
two,
valuable
then if
player
you have two
award.
quarterbacks that both go to the playoffs and one has better stats than the other one, he should be the MVP. Josh Allen
how
should
do
have been the MVP.
No, there's other
when
factors
Lamar
too,
Jackson
because,
got his second
Again,
one.
that
Lamar
Ravens team
Jackson-
was the number one team in the AFC, and they were one of the best
Oh
teams
my
of
God.
all
Now
time.
you guys,
They
this
were.
funnel that you're creating to lead your way to the MVP, it's like you
There's
gotta
no
be,
funnel.
You gotta
I'm
be, you
just
gotta be
telling you why it
6'3", you
was.
gotta be 210 pounds, you gotta throw
Just
for
telling you why it was.
4,439 yards, you gotta rush for 780.
You're not debating
It's
in good
getting
faith,
ridiculous,
Kyle.
bro.
You're not
It's getting
debating in
ridiculous,
good
bro.
faith.
Like, it's getting
You're not
ridiculous.
debating
Dustin,
that.
if two
Wait,
teams make a
and
playoffs,
I
and
do
one
wanna
player
say
has
this.
better
I do wanna say
statistics,
this.
and they have the
I'm
same
not-
record, the player with better statistics
So you're
is
just
the MVP.
butthurt. You're just butthurt that Josh Allen didn't win it.
No,
Is that
I'm
what it
just
comes down
backing
to?
up Sean's
No, I'm
point.
just-
Lamar
I'm
Jackson
backing up-
definitely earned
I'm
that
backing up
award,
with-
guys.
Listen, I'm not
Yeah.
taking anything away from Saquon Barkley, but
Mhm.
that Eagles team was really good. And when they took Saquon Barkley out of the Commanders game, like 5 other players ran for touchdowns. 2 of them ran
my
for
God.
40-plus
Oh my
yard
God.
touchdowns.
Oh my
So,
God,
like,
Brandon, don't do it, Brandon.
It's
Don't
you
do
can't
it.
throw another
Brandon, can I ask you a
quarterback.
question?
You can't
If
throw
If
another
Bill
quarterback
Shipley
in the
scored
Don't do it,
17
Brandon.
games for the
Or
Eagles, are they in the Super Bowl?
or I'll just or can I maybe finish what I'm saying
Well,
With-
you just, oh my
without yelling? I'm not yelling at anyone.
God.
So there's that.
Brandon, what point are you
If you-
making?
if you
about
take-
Why aren't
Saquon?
you yelling at anyone?
My point that I'm making is like David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both had phenomenal seasons, right, guys? If you take your quarterback out of the game, can you throw another one in who's going to win a football game for you?
Possibly.
Lions
Yeah,
probably
the Eagles
wouldn't
did
get
it. The Eagles did it. The Eagles
You
won a Super
really-
Bowl with Nick Foles, Brandon.
Yeah, but he played like 9 weeks preceding that game. You can't just plug in a quarterback on the next play. And he's going to come in and throw a touchdown for
What are
you.
you talking
That's not how it works. You have one player at that position who can lead your football team. There is no doubt about that, right? We're
Oh,
talking about
no.
the Bears. We're talking about the Bears right now, who are possibly going to be running by committee, aren't they?
Yeah, they will not
I mean,
possibly. They
so,
certainly
like,
need to be.
If
They
there's a
certainly need to
position
be.
on a football team that you can play by committee, it's probably less important than the one that you have one.
Yeah,
fucking
it's
guy
definitely
for.
not going to be the quarterback by committee approach.
Yeah,
That will never be the case.
And because
I
how
don't
many
understand
good
the point,
how
man.
many good quarterbacks
I don't
are there
understand the
in the world, guys? There's 32 stars in the NFL and half of them aren't good. How many good running backs are there? We have 3 on our football team that are going to be playing a role.
You guys
They're
all
fine,
just
good.
agreed. You guys just all agreed. If Saquon Barkley isn't on this team, they don't win the Super Bowl. If Will Shipley and Kenneth Gainwell are starting 17 games for the Eagles, are they running 7
If
touchdowns?
if
versus
Jalen
the
Hurts
Washington
if
Redskins?
Jalen Hurts isn't on that football
Sean,
team, they don't win a Super Bowl.
If Saquon Barkley would
Jalen
have
Hurts
won,
did not have a season. Saquon Barkley got him. He didn't even throw for 3,000 freaking yards, dude.
you don't need to make an argument to me that Saquon Barkley could have won MVP. I would have been all for it if Saquon
He
Barkley
should've
would have
won
won
MVP.
MVP.
Well,
I
and-
would have been all for it. I'm just stating the
team that
facts
won
of the
the Super
situation.
Bowl.
That's all.
The
There-
ultimate goal.
But the running back doesn't win that award. That's just what it's come down to with that award. And if you think that's the reason that that award is trash, then so be it. That's one legitimate argument to make. That because C-Mac could have won it the year before, like I said.
Sure.
And it's not handed to running backs anymore because that's a
foolish.
quarterback award, and that's what it will continue to be. We can argue the semantics on that, but it's not going to change anything. Quarterbacks will continue to win that award. You're
It's a
looking for the
popularity
best quarterback
contest.
on the best
Well, hold
team.
on, guys. Don Bird checked
Popularity
in, dude.
contest.
Yeah, I was trying to point that out. Yeah.
Huh. Well, Don, yeah, I'm glad you showed up late because
Yeah, it's a rough day to be a Lions fan in this chat, man. The Lions suck. The Lions are going to win 7 games. Jared Goff is going to throw 30 interceptions. Put it down. Write it on paper. Write it in pen. Okay.
And Jordan Love is still overrated.
If you decide you want to root for the Packers because the Lions suck so bad, Jordan Love still sucks too.
Yeah, I mean the Lions' chances, Sean, of winning the NFC North have gone down drastically.
I don't disagree.
Of course, and you hope that brings the Bears up, right? You hope that brings the Bears up in that pecking order, but this division will be tough as nails all year, just like it was last year, guys. It's not going to be a cakewalk for anybody.
You would think if there's one team that Ben Johnson's got written on his calendar, it's the fucking Detroit Lions. I mean, you would hope that the Bears are able to at least get one game from our head coach's former team. And I'm not saying that the Bears are going to take the NFC North and that the Lions are going to lose it, but I would hope that the Bears are at least able to win, to split those games. I'd hope they're able to at least win one of those games, considering our coach was the guy who built the offense.
If the Bears go on the road and beat the Lions in that first matchup,
They're gonna
then
sweep them.
They'll sweep them. Yeah, they
And
will.
I'll be honest, they almost beat the Lions twice last year. They gave the game away twice.
Yeah,
They
but
did that a lot against their division opponents.
Twice.
They made a habit out of that last year.
almost doesn't count, as we all know.
The game in Chicago
almost
wasn't very
made the
close.
playoffs.
By far, Roma Dunze's worst game of his career, for sure, no doubt about it. That he definitely gave. He didn't make it. He made it much tougher for the Bears to compete. But the game in Chicago, the Lions beat up on the Bears pretty good. I mean, Roma Dunze having 2 fumbles on back-to-back drives sucked. That sucked. But yeah, I mean,
That hurt. I'm sure.
Bears
Roman
almost
Doomsday's-
beat them with idiots in charge. Guy says, "I like Guy. Guys bringing the heat tonight."
Guy's the man.
I'm
yeah.
saying, man.
He says, "This is what he said. This is part of the interruption on speed.
Pardon the interrupt. No, around the horn on speed.
Around the horn on speed. Yeah,
Who's Woody Page?
nobody gets points.
No one's that old.
Yeah, no, we all
Guess
have
that would
negative.
be
We all
me.
have negative
Oldest
points.
guy
This
right
is
here.
now.
the show where no points are awarded. Nobody
Just lose
wins.
points throughout.
Is that whose line is it, anyways?
What you call it? Erica says, calling it now. My thing's not working, so never mind.
There it is.
41-17, week 2. Erica, we're booking it down. If that happens, I'm buying you the jersey of your choice. Mark it, book it. 4-star Chicago Sports. I will do it. You text me whatever you want.
42. If they score 42 points in the second week of their season, this is going to be a good year.
I award you 0 points, and we are all dumber for having listened to that. May God have mercy on your soul.
That's
one of
my
those
guy.
classic lines.
Always
Yeah, I
great
mean,
to sign.
If we want to get into the roster cuts really quick, I was more concerned about maybe picking up some players, but I think a couple of draft picks might not be sticking around. And, for me, it's Tyler Scott and Zach Pickens. I think the defensive line has gotten a little bit too deep for Pickens.
Both those
to hold
units,
his job
Sean.
down.
Both those units.
And the
The
wide
wide
receiver room
receivers.
is way too deep for him to keep his job. And look, I have a lot of faith. I really liked Tyler Scott, and I knew who he was coming in because I was watching that Cincinnati Bearcats team. It had Sauce
same.
Gardner on it. Desmond Ridder was the quarterback. It was a really fun college football team to watch.
And
when
Tyler
the Bears
Scott was a
drafted him,
beast on that team.
Yeah, I
Tyler-
was like, I'm like, this guy's he's pretty good. I like them.
They actually drafted a guy I wanted them to draft. With that
Yeah,
pick. Yeah.
And again, maybe he'll be a gunner on special teams. We'll have some injuries and he'll come up and he'll earn his spot still. But right now, I don't see a spot for Pickens. I don't see a spot for Scott, especially if Boykin is sticking around, Duvernay's sticking around, and then
Zacchaeus.
Duvernay ain't playing receiver. Boykin ain't sticking around. I think Scott will make this team.
Yeah,
man.
but those
I
guys
got-
are
I don't
gonna go
think
on the
so.
wide receiver room.
A
I got
report
faith
was
in
a
Scott.
report was released this week that said he's probably not. But I mean,
I got
there's
faith
no
in
insight
Scott,
to that.
man.
Who's that?
Listen,
Tyler Scott
Tyler Scott. Oh, really?
not making the roster. Yeah.
Scott's a guy that can
tough.
stretch the field for this team. It'll be tough to move on from him. But I mean, if you cut him, I mean, it is what it is. You still got players. The reality is he's not going to get a lot.
I don't think he is going to be
cut.
cut though, Dustin. I'm with you.
I don't think he is either.
This is
but
why
he
I
won't
feel
get a
this
lot
way.
of playing time
Because
either way.
I don't think Ryan Poles wants to move on from any of his draft picks. He's very stubborn when it comes to this. We saw it with anybody. We saw it with Velus Jones. We saw it with Nate Davis, a free agent signing. Ryan Poles does not like to admit that he missed. And I think especially if you haven't seen a guy's potential, like Tyler Scott hasn't really been given the opportunity to prove that he's not good enough to play in the NFL. Now that might say something in itself, but look at the coaches that were at least trying to develop this guy. They're all fired. And Tyler Scott had some issues dropping the ball, but he does bring an element, Dustin, that you just mentioned to this football team that we really don't have in anyone else besides maybe
Yeah.
Luther Burden. And we know Luther Burden's going to take some time. Tyler Scott can take the top off the defense. And I think that Caleb Williams really liked this kid in preseason last year, man. After he threw that big play that Tyler Scott drew the pass interference on, Caleb Williams had a lot of good things to say about him in regards to how he played in practice too. So I don't know. I would like to see Tyler Scott to make this team and get a chance. But the thing is, too, receiver is one of those positions where you're going to suffer an injury somewhere. And if you want to sign a guy to a practice squad like Tyler Scott to come to that to pull up to the active roster, barring an injury, he's probably going to stick around in Chicago. I'd imagine he's probably going to be somewhere.
I mean,
I can't-
how many?
We have what, 17
wide-
practice
How
squad
many wide
players?
receivers did the Bears roster last year? That would be your.
It was 5. It was 5, wasn't it? Or 6 at
Colin-
some points.
Colin
6
Johnson.
at some points. Yeah,
It was
at least
Colin
5.
Johnson, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ
So
Moore, and DeAndre Carter.
Here's your Bears depth chart on the web on ESPN right now. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Luther Burden as your starters. Your backups are Zacchaeus, Duvernay, and Tyler Scott. So that'd be
Okay,
6.
so it's 5 or 6. He's going to be right
So-
on that cusp.
So
there.
DeAndre Carter and Colin
Boykin
Johnson
isn't-
are just gone.
Well, Boykin's not listed as a wide
Tyler
receiver.
Carter's not here
Miles
anymore.
Boykin?
Yeah, he is, but he's backup. He's listed as backup. So is
Yeah,
similar.
Boykin ain't
So
shit.
is Samar Torre, whatever the hell that guy's name is. They say from the Packers.
Samari Torre from Nebraska. I really like that.
Laz is not a fan of Tyler Scott and thinks he's gone. Listen, if he's gone, he's gone. The Bears
He
have
has
a lot
trouble
more
catching the
talent
ball,
in this
that's for
receiver
sure.
room this year than
I'll
they
be
did
honest.
last year.
I'll be
so.
honest, guys. I could go upstairs right now. I have a Tyler Scott jersey, so that's how much faith I had in him when he got drafted.
Did
by
you
the
make
Chicago
that
Bears.
yourself? They actually made Tyler Scott jerseys?
They did make him have a Tyler Scott jersey, and I bought one because I
Nice.
thought this guy. I thought he was going to have a career similar.
Buy
to
it at
Darnell
Ross?
Honestly, I thought
I'll tell you this, Sean. I think
Going
Tyler
to
Scott
Darnell
stands a much better chance than Zach Pickens.
Yes, and
I
Dominic
agree with
Robinson.
that.
Someone in
I
the
agree
chat
with
brought
that.
up Dominic Robinson earlier. I think he's as good as gone too. I think that would make more sense. But if the Bears carry 6 receivers, Scott is
And another-
definitely in, and he still has a chance if they carry. Well, they're going to carry at least 5.
guys.
Another player that I'm very
What,
curious
dude?
as to why he wasn't yet cut, and I know it's probably because Ryan Poles traded a draft pick for him, but Ryan Bates serves no fucking purpose on this football
No,
team.
I
I mean, the
agree.
guy was terrible when he played last year. We were told if he wasn't going to start at center, he'd be good at guard where he was most comfortable on the Bills. He wasn't. He wasn't any good. He was a part of an egregious line that allowed Caleb Williams to get swallowed alive. I don't even think he's a good depth piece. There's no reason for Ryan Bates to still be on this football team, and I think he's probably going to get cut.
Carl, I have to disagree with you. Don Robinson, gone. That's my thought.
I mean,
I'm not-
listen, it
I'm
would
not
make
Tom
sense if he
Robinson.
is. He's not shown anything in his time here, and
He was a healthy scratch for most of last season. That
yeah,
doesn't say
and the
good things.
season before that too, man. So
But
yeah,
as was Tyler Scott, both those, and you know what?
and the
Dominic
chat
Robinson-
seems to think Tyler
Dominic-
Scott is gone.
Dominic
so we'll see.
Robinson was a healthy scratch when the Bears were hurting for defensive ends, and that's remember that's a different coaching staff. But if you got injured players at a position and you still can't make a dress up on put the jersey on fucking Sundays, well, I'm not. Listen, Carl. If maybe there's something you see in the guy that you like him, but that made me resent Dominic Robinson because I liked the kid. Me and Dustin loved this kid when he was early in his career. But when
I
you
like
had injuries last year and the guy still wasn't dressed for a Sunday, I was all but
Well, yeah.
fed up with it, man.
If
And
they
I wanted
keep-
to move
if
on
they
from that
keep-
pet project.
If they keep 4 defensive end, he's gone because they're listed right now. Their starters are Deo, Montez, Austin Booker, and Daniel Hardy. So
Well, no,
Yeah,
and they
because-
have, they
I
have one
love
other
Hardy,
guy
man.
that they added this offseason. Ford. They signed
who's-
another guy.
Jonathan Ford's a tackle.
No, there's another. There's another.
Brandon,
end
the
on
only
this
other
roster.
the only guys listed are Xavier Carlton and Jim
Carlton.
Xavier
Cronin.
Carlton was an
Carlton.
undrafted free agent
Yeah,
out of
Jared
Cal.
Carlton.
Robinson is
How
from
often do
Ragnow,
undrafted free agents
Cal.
make this team? Like once every year.
Guys, I might have made this joke before, but is it possible that we sign Nate Davis just so we can cut him again? I mean, I'd be good with that.
So
Honestly.
if we sign him, he wouldn't be there. He wouldn't. He wouldn't be there this week.
Do you guys
Yeah,
know?
he's like, I got shit going on for OTAs.
I'll show up when the season starts.
Do you guys know anything about Jermaine Pratt, linebacker for Cincinnati Bengals?
No, I know that he's a possible trade candidate, isn't he?
I like him.
He's
like
a possible trade or cut candidate, and I'll tell you this: that's the guy that I'm looking at. Kenneth Murray is also another linebacker. I'm just myself looking at linebackers that are going to be cut because unlike you
Kenneth
guys-
Murray out of Oklahoma played for the Chargers, right? I like that
Yeah.
guy. I like him.
Yeah, he's coming off a pretty awful season. He had a good pass rush grade, but his run defense was god awful. He had a 35 grade in the run defense department, which knocked him down. He was a 70 in the pass rush, 4 sacks. Obviously, he had limited time last year due to an injury, but he is 26, 6'2", 241 pounds. For me, I'm just looking at linebackers because I don't know.
If we have our Sam linebacker on this roster right now,
I
right?
want-
That's what
I
you're
think
saying.
the Bears should potentially take a look at it, and I think his price is just getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. He did grade out pretty badly last season, guys, but Justin Simmons is a player that if Jaquan Brisker does suffer the injury that we're all praying he does
Some
not,
safety help would be great.
you would
Brandon.
like to have a veteran
Yeah.
on this football
Yeah.
team, and I don't mean the guys who have been depth pieces on this team, but like the Elijah Hicks and those guys. I mean, somebody who's played in a starting role in the
We
NFL.
have our
before.
Sam and Hippo. Yeah, that's the hope, right? I guess I don't know, man. And you got Sewell out
Hey-
there too.
hey,
and
Don,
Amen, but
Beating
I
the
don't
White
know,
Sox
man.
13-1 is not an accomplishment, and there's no Sox fans here. So,
Yeah,
it's
fuck
like,
the Sox.
that's like.
I think that's why he said it.
He put it.
Yeah, you
the
can have
double-
that, man. Take it, put it in your pocket.
Yay!
Take it home with you. Yeah, we're good. The Cubs have
Oh,
the best
this
record
is
in the
coming from
National League.
This is coming from a Detroit fan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well, be careful because they're about to play
So
each
Sewell
other.
is awful. That's the point,
in
Carl.
Detroit.
The Sam linebacker position has a lot of question marks. That's why Sean's looking at linebackers, because we'd like to have something better. Just like Brandon was saying, you'd like to have a little bit better backup plan in place at the safety position as well, man. Those are just things we're thinking about when it comes to making this team, as good as it
Well,
possibly
where
can
are
be.
your concerns about this Bears roster? And I know a lot of people talk about left tackle, but it's pretty clear the Bears are going to move forward with the three they have. We don't know what the hell is going to happen at linebacker or at safety, especially if there's an injury. Guys, imagine if TJ Edwards goes down. This is completely fucked.
That's
I
what I've
mean,
been
I
stressing
mean,
for
if you're talking about Sewell and Hippolyte playing on the same field,
This
and
is
if
a good
position-
point by Carl, guys. The Bears are going to be running two linebacker sets most of the time because they're going to be playing against offenses
Yeah.
that are going to
and
spread.
Kyler
out.
Gordon's going to be
You're
on the
gonna
field.
you're
instead
gonna
of
have
this
your nickel dime packages out there much more. Just saying, if you're looking for an area to improve, that is one in our minds. That's all. But yes, obviously the DBs will be on the field more than that third linebacker. We are aware of that.
Hey guys, I'm on Over the Cap right now, just looking at the top cut candidates. The Bears' top cut candidate they have listed is TJ Edwards, and I do not see that happening.
and their top trade candidate is DeAndre Swift. Carl does say this, and I'm gonna. This is. I don't want to spark any. I don't want to spark a war here, guys. But he says his biggest concern is there's no Pro Bowl talent, which Pro Bowl whatever. But there's no Pro Bowl. I think he means like elite talent on this defensive line. That has been my biggest concern. That has been my biggest concern.
Like 5 in a row.
That has been my biggest concern since the end of last season.
What's one in 2023? Grady Jarrett's been to like 4. I'm pretty. Did Dale? I don't know if Dale went to one. I think.
No, he did not.
No.
Andrew Billings go to one?
To be honest with you, Kyle, of all the names on this defensive line that have the potential to be a Pro Bowler
Trevon
next year, it's Trevon Dexter.
Trevon
It's Trevon Dexter.
Yes.
It's not any of the guys you just listed. It's Trevon Dexter.
I agree with that. Trevon Dexter could play at a Pro Bowl level. And that's
Amen.
what you hope for from him, honestly, if you want this defensive line to improve.
Montez Sweat has the high chance to make a Pro Bowl, guys. He went to
if you were betting on one, you would bet on Montez Sweat, but you wouldn't feel confident in that.
Carl, you're calling Colston Loveland a backup tight end? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Colston Loveland is going to be a fucking awesome tight end.
I was a Tyler Warren guy.
Yeah,
so.
you were, and I get it, and I understand the Bears had more pressing needs. We all thought that when the draft pick happened, but when you look at what Colston Loveland's capable of doing, guys, he's going to become the number one red zone target for this Bears offense in this season coming. Watch that happen. I thought
there was a better defensive tackle that the Bears passed on than Kenneth Grant, to be honest with you.
Grady Jarrett made 2.
Thinking of Derek Harmon, or are you thinking of or are you thinking of the guy Walter Nolan? There you go.
Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon. Honestly, I would have drafted prior to drafting Kenneth Grant. I mean, Kenneth Grant's a stud of a man, but he played next to the best tackle in college football, and there's no doubt that benefited his level of play. I think Kenneth Grant will make a good nose tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, he's not a 3 tech.
I'm not excited about his ability to make a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I think Walter Nolan would
have been a much better pick than Kenneth Grant.
Could be a stud for sure.
I would not have been upset with that.
I think Kyle called that. Kyle, didn't you call that your steal? That the Arizona Cardinals picked him at like 14th or something, didn't they?
Who?
Walter Nolan.
Yeah, Walter Nolan's the man. But I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say Shamar Turner is just not a Pro Bowl talent because he was drafted in the second round instead of the first. I think all these guys, there's question marks all over this roster, and you have no idea what any of these guys are going to be. Shamar Turner could be a very good player.
I think Trevon Dexter has the potential to improve into a Pro Bowl caliber tackle in the NFL. There's no doubt about that.
Go look at PFF. PFF is already talks very highly of Trevon Dexter. They're saying he could have been a Pro Bowl last year.
Well, more importantly, Dennis Allen said he's not going to stress because everybody keeps asking Dennis Allen about blitzing, and he said, "That's my goal right now is to get the most out of the front four as possible on this football team, and I like the unit they have." I don't know if he's just saying that because he's supposed to, but I do believe that Dennis Allen and Grady Jarrett right now are focused on, or not Grady Jarrett, Jeremy Garrett are focused right now on getting the most out of the 4 guys that are playing on this line, man, whoever it's going to be. If it's Grady Jarrett, Trevon Dexter, Montez Sweat, and Dale, those four guys are going to
I
be
think the
where
Bears
they lean heavily.
I don't think. I think the Bears' defensive line is a lot better than people give credit for. I'm not saying it's complete.
I
I
do
think they are
too.
still missing their premier defensive end, but I still think the Bears' defensive line is much better than people give credit for. I like Andrew Billings a lot. He's a very good player. Javon Dexter's a very good player. Grady Jarrett might be the best defensive lineman in NFL Falcons history. Montez Sweat's a very good player.
I'm with
Deo,
Kyle.
everybody keeps talking about how
PFF
good
can
Deo
go
is.
fuck itself.
Deo is so good. He has so many pressures. He could get 10 sacks this year. People, I mean, they just drafted Shamar Turner in the second round, and this guy's a second round pick, bro. And that you add the fact that people keep saying Austin Booker's going to get better. Austin Booker's good. He looks like an elite defensive end who, if he would have come out a year later, would have been a first round pick. Well, then where does their defensive line suck so bad? I mean, people just keep talking about them like they're the worst defensive line in football. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
You add, and then you take into account the coaching change with Dennis Allen and Bill Johnson on the defensive line, improving that. I mean, and Al Harris in that defensive secondary. I mean,
and I know Carl's a fan of the idea. I know Carl's a fan of the idea of these new coaches actually developing the players on this football team. Austin Booker, guys, is to me could make the difference this year on that defense. If Austin Booker is treated properly, if he's developed the way that he should be, you're looking at a pure pass rushing. I mean, this could be your 15 sacks in a season guy. If they
why can't he be Mark Anderson, guys? Why can't he have a season like that?
Wasn't Shamar Turner supposed to be a first round pick too?
Shamar Turner was supposed to be a first round.
No, pick. a top 40 pick. He was supposed to be a top 40.
Not in this draft as it was playing out. Nobody had him with a first round.
No, if he didn't suffer the injury,
potentially, yeah. But
not the injury. Like Kyle said, if he didn't have a surgery that was
with you a million
brutally botched, if he didn't have a surgery that pretty much.
I mean, I'll be honest. As bad as it could. Tape at Texas A&M, dude. Shamar Turner was a terror on that defensive line. I mean, there's no reason to think that he can't.
Carl says, "I will piss in a cup if
he wants them on steroids. He wants them juicing. Everybody can juice.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, who cares that they're out there playing football? It's not like shit. But I mean, Austin Booker needs to put on weight and he needs to get stronger for sure. And I think that's what your first real offseason in the NFL is for. To hit the weight room, to get with your trainers and get yourself in the best physical condition possible for your position. The Bears have their targets for these guys that they need to hit in terms of weight, in terms of strength, in terms of all those things. And Austin Booker better be hitting those things. Obviously, he's got to put in the work. But if he does, he will turn into a force off the edge because he's got the speed and length and ability to do it.
He's got the hands, for sure.
He's got the tools. He has the tools. This is what this coaching staff is supposed to do, is to develop him into that player that turns those tools into production on the football field.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in what Austin Booker might be for this football team, because if he does become, let's say, any bit of a premier edge rusher, guys, that might make the difference on this defense that I do think is going to fall short of the sack numbers we expect.
I like this question from Cliff, guys. Would anybody say Bears are worse this year than last year? Thinks they're improving big time.
Absolutely not.
They've improved
there is no position which the Bears got worse. Me and Sean stated, though, they didn't improve at the linebacker position. They didn't improve at the safety position, and they have some question marks hovering over those two units in its entirety.
And,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And even with the improvements on offensive line and defensive line, you could still find questions and you could still find things to nitpick. But the Bears have done a very good job of identifying.
But they improved there
and improving them. Yes, that's
they did not improve at the linebacking position. They did not improve at the safety position.
Well, I think they didn't improve at the
same guys.
I think they didn't improve at the linebacker position because they didn't think they needed to.
I also don't think they felt like the pieces were there. That if Jahad Campbell had fallen to the second round.
Oh God!
It's hard for me to believe the Bears aren't trying scratching to get up there.
You guys are real quick. I mean, I understand the Bears fans are like emotionally scarred from all these drafts in the past, but you guys are pretty much writing off Ruben Hippolyte. That's what you're doing. If you're saying they didn't improve, then that means Ruben Hippolyte sucks.
I mean, that's a.
Well, no, Kyle.
That's TBD. I don't know. I have no idea.
I think this Bears team. I have preached time and time again. This Bears team will treat mid-round picks. We're going to see a difference in the mid-round picks in this Bears team with this coaching staff than we have in previous regimes. I think the mid-round picks.
So, Flex. I thought that they they extended TJ Edwards just this season.
They did.
So for him to be on the main cut candidate on whatever website you were talking about, like
it was not over the cap.
No, Tremaine Edmonds wasn't he?
No,
he said
TJ
TJ.
Edwards.
He said
When
TJ.
I looked at the possible,
Yeah, I'm
Cup
not
candidate-
even going to
the
humor that
website I
thought.
looked at. It was
Yeah, I
Jermaine
didn't
Edmonds.
really either. Yeah.
The website I looked like it was Jermaine Edmonds was the
It really
That makes
top,
more sense. That makes more
and the top trade candidate was Cole Kmet. That was the website
that
I
is,
looked at.
that is absolutely ridiculous, redonkulous, and dumb as fuck, and not going to happen. And I'll bet anybody on it. Cole Kmet will be on this roster in 2025. For anyone to put that out there, they should have your credentials taken away.
Well, I mean, to make that leap, it makes sense considering.
not
But
gonna
the Bears want to run with 2 tight ends, and Smythe is not the guy you want to do that with. You want Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland out there, 100%. I think
and
Ben
really
Johnson
quick,
wants that
guys,
badly.
the Chicago Tribune, and I thought I saw this earlier, the Chicago Tribune did report that Austin Booker gained some weight and muscle mass this offseason. They described him as a skinny guy in a big guy's body. So, and that's all we
What
get.
does that even mean?
I don't know. That's what the article said.
That's how I identify.
You know what I think about though is I think about Alden Smith. You know, being a Niner fan and whatnot,
Good
an
comparison.
Alden Smith type. That's who I
Yeah.
thought about when I saw Austin Booker coming out of the draft last year, and that took some time for Alden Smith to turn into that. So
I'm getting a feeling like Stein Smythe did not like the Bears draft. He's just shitting all over every Bears draft pick that they made, dude.
No, mostly just Colston Loveland, right?
No, you just
No,
said
he
Ruben
didn't like
Hippolyte
Hippolyte, but
Oh yeah, that was a fucking bad pick. We all said it. We all know it. We agree with Carl on that. It was a bad pick. They reached big time.
I didn't say the player was bad. I said
And I thought Dennis Allen. I was the first person.
I don't know anything about
person,
Ruben Hippolyte.
I'm the only person I've heard say Dennis Allen had too much influence on that draft pick, and I think he did. I think Ryan Poles needs to know when to say to his coaches, "Listen, we can get the fucking guy you want, but not here, not now. It's not happening." If I'm the GM, I'm sorry. I'm telling my DC right there.
No, we can go.
We'll get you Hippolyte after the draft, where he'll remain.
We'll go find where he's selling insurance.
Not fucking now. It's not happening. Get out of my face.
All right, I apologize, Stein Smythe. Maybe you just didn't say you dislike Colston Loveland. You already have guaranteed that he's worse that Cole Kmet is better than him. You've guaranteed it. It says Cole Kmet is better than our 10th overall pick. No question about it.
Yeah, and
you're basically saying that there's no chance that Colston Loveland becomes a better tight end than Cole Kmet.
I think pretty early.
That sounds like you're not very high on Colston Loveland.
I think pretty early on you're going to see
12.
Yeah, you're going to see Colston Loveland has a better skill set than Cole Kmet. You're going to see that pretty early on. I firmly believe that.
Well, I don't understand.
They're different players, but I like Colston's skill set a lot better in terms of breaking the game open.
Regardless of how you felt about Colston Loveland, regardless of about how any of us felt about Colston Loveland, our new head coach, who is the most innovative play caller and probably the best utilizer of talent in the NFL, chose that guy over Tyler Warren, whom every other GM in the NFL thought was better. So, I mean, if Ben Johnson thinks that this guy is going to be special, like a George Kittle, Travis Kelce type player, if Ben Johnson thinks he can turn him into that, I'm going to play the wait and see game on Colston Loveland for sure. I'd like to know what Ben Johnson feels he can do with this guy and how he's going to utilize him before I say he's the backup tight end on this football. But listen, I'm going to say this too, guys. You know how I feel about this. Cole Kmet is a replacement level player to me.
We send him the link and invite him in.
He's overrated.
Nah, man, we're already at 2 hours and 15 minutes. How much longer are we going here? Carl, you checked in too late for that shit, man.
Yeah, Carl, another day, man. Another day.
Yeah.
I would have done it, Carl. They voted me down.
Yeah, Sean, you get to be pretend you're the good guy.
I mean,
Carl should absolutely.
That's also a bold statement. Kmet is trash.
I agree with Brandon, and that's how I feel.
He had like 8 touchdowns. He had like 8
just
touchdowns.
An average player, replacement level. Like there's guys you can get. Like if you went and got Michael Mayer and put him in Cole Kmet's position, you probably get about the same production. I am not as high on Cole Kmet.
Yeah, but I mean, once again, you guys, it's so funny. I mean, we've talked so many times about we think all these guys were used incorrectly or put in bad positions by previous coaching staffs, and it's like, but Cole Kmet doesn't get the he's the exception to the rule. He just sucks.
Listen.
I don't know, man.
I didn't say he sucks. I didn't say he sucks.
My thing about Cole Kmet,
my thing
about Cole Kmet is he's best in the red zone, and when he's caught majority of his touchdowns, he's literally like uncovered. I don't see Cole
but that's
Kmet.
because of route running, Brandon.
I don't see Cole Kmet.
They're not just
doing-
like, hey, just let Cole Kmet get open
I
because he
don't
sucks.
see Cole Kmet doing like George Kittle. He's just to me not a tight
Well,
end.
when he catches the ball, he is not making plays with the ball in his hands. That is not what.
No,
Cole
he is who he is too. I don't think Cole Kmet's going to greatly improve with the Ben Johnson hiring.
He just doesn't have the physical abilities to do that.
I think Ben Johnson thought this before I did, guys. I think Ben Johnson coming to this team thought I would like a guy who's a little more talented at the tight end position than Cole Kmet. I'm just going to guess that's who we took with our 10th overall pick in the draft. There's no way Ben Johnson was like, we got ourselves a Sam Laporte on this football team. Like, no,
let's go get another one.
He wanted something more at this position because
Matt says he wants another 2 hours.
All right,
Get in here,
we're getting Carl on the show.
Get in here,
I
man.
don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Sean, I thought you said we voted you down. What the fuck are you doing?
You did. You did.
I don't know. I think Cole Kmet's probably somewhere between. I think you guys. He had last year, 2023, he had 750 yards and 7 touchdowns. I think. I mean, so if you're saying that you guys can guarantee this coaching staff wasn't. Wait. Let me finish, Brandon. If you can guarantee this coaching staff wasn't putting people in the best position to succeed, then you're saying that he could have had a better season with a different coaching staff of 750 yards and 7 touchdowns. I mean, you're talking about an 900-yard tight end with 10 touchdowns. I mean, that's what Sam Laporte did last year.
Do you think his numbers increase?
If he had a better coaching staff, why wouldn't they?
No, now.
Why
now.
wouldn't they?
He does.
With this coaching staff.
Yes.
No, I think he gets supplanted by Colston Loveland.
You think with the addition of Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet's numbers increase?
So are you talking about his career numbers or just that his career season? Which one are you talking about?
His
averages?
Yeah, his averages.
Yes, his numbers are going to improve. Yes.
You think he catches more than 750 yards and 7 touchdowns?
His averages, he has 200 yards, 6, 5, 7, 4. So his averages are what?
I mean, from last year. His last year numbers.
Last year he had 474 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I think he's improving on that. Yes.
I thought you said he had 700. Didn't you just?
Listen, Cole Kmet,
2023. 2023, he has the best season.
He had the best season then. Yes, he caught 7 touchdowns that year. But Cole Kmet is reliable. He does not drop the ball. He is a good veteran to have, and I think his skill set will complement Colston Loveland's really well. I think the Bears want to run with 2 tight ends. I just think Colston Loveland is going to show himself to be a more dynamic player, which will get him more opportunity.
I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying, like people in this chat are saying Cole Kmet's trash. Robert Lee, yes, because he's a shite route runner. I don't think he's trash.
But there's a reason the Bears drafted a tight end at number 10 in this draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not comparing the two at all. And as a matter of fact, you guys, the same people are saying he's trash are also shitting all over Colston Loveland. I mean, it's not like
so the Bears have no tight end.
Yeah, so the Bears have they got worse at the tight end position this year because they lost Bertaros Bennett and drafted Colston Loveland. I guess I don't know.
But I mean, like when you're a head coach, especially an offensive head coach, right? And you're taking over a new football team, and you have a top 10 pick in the draft. You're not picking a position which you think you're maxed. You know, I mean, you're not going to take a tight end if you're sitting here thinking you've got Tony Gonzalez on your football team.
That doesn't mean because they took Luther Burden, they think that Roma Dunze and
but they took Luther Burden. They took Luther Burden because they fucking had to, because there's no reason Luther Burden should have been where he was when they
they took both of those.
They just want to put more weapons on the field, and they could have done the same. They could have the same thought process at tight end. Like we don't think Cole Kmet sucks. We just want 2 really good tight ends.
But
we think they're both really good.
You're making my point though, Kyle. They could have taken any receiver in the draft at number 10, but they probably felt our receiver core is pretty fucking good right now. We don't need to take a receiver number 10. Our tight end group's looking a little lackluster to me, man.
Maybe they thought any receiver 10 would be a massive reach, and they thought that Colston Loveland's the best tight end in the draft. The top tight end tier talent is way better than the top wide receiver talent.
And there was a big drop off.
I'm going to throw this up really quick, and we're going to end this Cole Kmet sucks shit, because Cole Kmet does not suck, dude. You guys read this. You guys tell me this guy sucks.
I'm on the same page, Sean.
I think one person said he was trash.
I don't think anybody said everything I just said. That's everything I just said. He does not drop the ball. He is a very reliable target, and that will serve a purpose in this offense. But I think the Bears drafted Colston Loveland and they drafted Luther Burton with very specific roles in mind of what Ben Johnson wants to get done with his offense, and that's because Cole Kmet cannot get those things done, and neither can Roma Dunze or DJ Moore. There's just very specific roles he has in mind for these guys, and he's going to utilize them very well because of their skill sets.
I'll make you a gentleman's bet right now. Hundo pennies. Cole Kmet has more touchdowns
$1
than Colston Loveland.
100 pennies? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's a gentleman's bet.
Hundo pennies.
Okay, I'm not a betting guy. What'd you say though?
Cole Kmet will have more touchdowns than Colston Loveland this season.
I mean, I'll take that.
I'll take that bet.
I don't know if I have 100 pennies around the
I mean,
house.
do you want me to actually put 100 pennies in
vacuum my car
bag?
Throw them at the front door.
I have said repeatedly, Sean.
I'm going to a fountain.
I am not backing
What's
off
that
of
guy
this.
doing?
Colston Loveland will establish himself as the #1 red zone target for Caleb Williams in this season. That is going to happen.
I'll say this.
If he stays healthy.
This about Colston Loveland. The longer he's out and the more time he misses, the more it scales his time back in this offense in the regular season.
Yeah, but he
These
just
are
has a skill
important
set.
reps, important things that he's missing as a rookie. He will be eased into this offense, and he's not going to walk in week 1 with barely any training camp, no OTAs, no rookie mini camp.
He's gonna walk in knowing how to catch a
Kelce.
football. He's gonna walk in knowing how to catch a football, and that's all they're gonna ask him to do.
Guy Finley says, "I wish I gambled out."
Listen, I don't like to use this.
Guy,
I don't
that's
like
the
to
point
use
of a
this-
gentleman's bet, man. It's for
I don't
people
like to
that
use this to
gamble. It's
gauge
$1,
player
bro.
production.
It's
But
in
I'm
your
gonna say
car
this
right now.
I'm going to be in probably 3 or 4 fantasy football leagues, and I'm not fucking touching Cole Kmet in any of them. That's
I'm not going to take Cole Kmet either.
I don't like to gauge
Hey,
players'
Brandon, when we did our
production.
projections, what did I say? I said 450 yards and 10 touchdowns for Cole Kmet.
10 touchdowns.
I said 8 to 10. He's going to be the red zone guy.
10
You're gonna
touchdowns would
fake
make
one
him
and
a
in, Cole Kmet's going to bust out, and he's going to be there. That guy is the most sure-handed fucking receiver in the entire
But
NFL.
he's not a red zone threat. He's
He
not.
should be.
He has not
He
been,
should be.
and Colston Loveland will be pretty early on. That's all I'm
I
saying.
don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
that's why we're having the conversation, and we love it. I mean, what else we got to talk about here, guys? What else?
Guy Finley, you can get in on that gentleman's bet.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 6'6", 260 for Cole Kmet, that's not a red zone target with hands that don't drop footballs.
He just doesn't have the athletic ability to sky for the ball like Colston.
Here you go, guys. In 2023, Cole Kmet finished 9th among all tight ends in receiving yards, 2nd in touchdowns, and 7th in receptions. His 81.1%
he's not gonna get
was the
back to
highest
that.
of his career and the highest in the NFL in 2020.
Yeah, and there was nowhere near the amount of weapons on that team that there is now. Nowhere near it, Kyle.
It was him and DJ Moore.
He was de facto had to be that guy.
Well,
He's not going to establish himself as that guy.
Dustin, to your point, here Cliff says Kmet is going to be covered by their 5th best guy.
Yeah, and then Laz says Kmet doesn't get open, so like it's a back and forth.
Well, and Kmet is going. Listen, this is one thing I can guarantee you.
I mean,
Komet's
like a guy that gets open.
Komet snaps.
These are very impressive numbers.
The snap count in which Komet is blocking is going to increase. The snap count in which Komet will be blocking is going to increase greatly on this offense. I can assure you. I assure you,
guys. Well, here, guys, the Lions had a ton of talent on their team last year. Let's see what Sam Laporta did last year as opposed to Cole Kmet's 2023. Sam Laporta last year had 60 receptions for 726 yards and 7 touchdowns. Once again,
why are you comparing last year to 2023 when he played in
740 yards and 7 touchdowns?
Well, why are you comparing the number 1 tight end to number 2?
We've already talked about Shane Waldron to a nauseum. Do you want to talk about it again? Do you want to talk about this all over again? I mean, you want to talk about it all over again?
Yeah, but why are you comparing Kyle? Do you think Cole Kmet's going to be the Sam Laporta, or do you think?
Somebody in the chat here said Cole Kmet had numerous games with 0 targets. That's not Cole Kmet's fault.
That was a 100% effect.
That's not Cole Kmet's fault.
And by the way, guys, I just looked it
fault.
up. Over the past 5 years, Cole Kmet is 10th in tight end touchdowns.
Yeah, he's number 9 in the NFL.
Away from being number 4 on that list. To say he's not a red zone,
he's probably 3 touchdowns away from being number 20 on that list too, Sean. So I mean, like that goes both ways.
Well, let me ask you this though: is Cole Kmet's production from his best season
throwing the ball and cut them?
Is he going to get back to his best season production with Colston
Oh,
Loveland on
you
the
mean
football
you mean a
team?
coaching staff that's not starting Gerald
not-
Everett over
It's
him for
not
the first
just
3
Colston
weeks of the
Loveland,
season?
man. It's Roma
Yeah, I
Dunze
think
in
they're
his
going to utilize him a
It's
little
Roma
better.
Dunze in his second year. It's Luther Burden. It's DJ Moore. I mean,
Who's
it's DeAndre
Dustin?
Swift getting
Who's
involved.
who's the Sam
There's a lot
Laporte on
more
this offense? Who's the Sam Laporte on this offense?
Listen, I don't think Ben Johnson's just trying to repeat what he did in
No,
Detroit.
but you know what I'm asking.
But like he drafted Colston Loveland to be that guy. Period. End of story.
That's what I think.
That's
for
what
sure.
happened. We watched it
100%.
happen, guys. He didn't draft Colston Loveland to have Cole Kmet be that guy. That wouldn't make any sense.
I
That
just
wouldn't
don't
make any
understand.
sense.
It's like Komet finished 9th in receiving yards, finished 2nd in touchdowns, 7th in receptions in 2023. And then we talk about ad nauseum about how
He was
Shane
free from being 20.
Waldron ruined this entire team. And it made everybody worse. So DeAndre's just going to get
60 in the
better
building.
because DJ Moore had less than 1,000 yards when he had 1,300 the year before because Shane Waldron sucks. But it's like, yeah,
Carl,
but Cole Kmet had a worse season because he sucks. Everybody
I
else
have mentioned Roma Dunze
he just sucks.
repeatedly.
Like it doesn't make sense, guys.
Carl, I have mentioned
you have
Roma
to use the same
Dunze
logic.
repeatedly. Roma
Yeah,
Dunze,
we have Rome being. I think Rome's the best receiver.
best receiver on this football team. Yes, and he will command the most targets. I believe that will be the case.
And I think Caleb Williams likes Rome the most. I think that's Caleb Williams' guy. I think you're going to see that connection start this season, and I think from this season on, it's going to be one of the best quarterback wide receiver connections in the NFL moving forward.
I agree, Cliff. You guys, the chat has been awesome tonight, guys. Illinois Jones, Cliff, Carl joined us, Flex Diggs, Guy Finley, Ken Burke, Erica.
Science Pie always puts that stamp on every
that's-
point. He's like, isn't remotely close. Guarantee it.
Gotta get the
Mark my
Erica,
words.
Ant Mass, Laz. You guys have been awesome. We had CSP in here, breaking news, Bruce, as always. I mean, just Robert Lee. There's so many to name. We got a lot of people with us tonight, but this show don't mean shit, and it ain't shit without y'all. So we really appreciate you for being here and contributing and listening to us yell at each other. I mean, thanks for bearing with us. Bearing with us. Oh, Brandon, don't exclude yourself. Just have fun. This is what we do.
Blast. We should do this more often. Yeah. I mean, guys, we much love. Appreciate everybody in the chat, and as always, guys, like I say this time and time again, you always move the conversation in a way we don't expect it, and it keeps this show alive. It keeps us breathing, and sometimes there's just not much to talk about in the world of the Bears or the NFL in general, and we could just come on here with no topic, no thumbnail, no subject, and let you guys create this show in the chat, and it's fucking awesome, and we appreciate the hell out of it. There was a time where I was thinking about making the thumbnail live chat interaction.
He's not a top 5 wide receiver. He's good. He could be a top 10. He's not.
I don't think he loses credibility for saying that.
No, I don't think he loses credibility, but he's not a top 5 receiver in the NFL. He's not better than
Rome. I think he could be. I think he absolutely fucking could be.
I think
right now.
Too.
Or then who you're taking out of the top 5?
100% be a top 5.
Who you replacing Roma Dunze with in the top 5, guys?
Tyreek Hill.
Does it matter?
Tyreek Hill's not my top 5. My top 5 are CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase,
CeeDee Lamb first.
Nico Collins, and Malik Neighbors, and in no particular order. You think he's better than Malik Neighbors?
I think he could have a better season than Malik Neighbors this year. He's certainly in a better quarterback situation and a better offense. No, listen, I love Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, if the Bears could have taken Malik Neighbors, I wanted Malik Neighbors.
You take him over Roman Dunze. You know why? Because he's better.
But if you look at the situation in terms of the quarterback and the offense that they're in and the potential, I think that Roma Dunze could have a better season than him this year. It does not make him a better receiver, but he could have a better season than him. It's possible. If you're expecting Caleb Williams to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback, which I think all of us are, those targets are going somewhere.
Listen,
I think
Roma Dunze was the 9th overall pick and one of the most
love how everyone's just
wide
like,
receivers.
DJ Moore's not making $98 million on this team. Just forget about that guy. He's just going to suck. Forget about Rome. Or just Rome's the man.
No
He's
one's
gonna catch
saying
it all.
Just because we're a fan of Rome does not mean we're knocking DJ.
Yeah, why do you have to dislike one to like the other? Listen, Roma Dunze.
Disrespect for DJ.
All I've said is Roma Dunze
for Rome.
All I've said is Roma Dunze. All I've said is Roma Dunze is I think he's going to be a better receiver. DJ Moore represents a different set of skills that Roma Dunze does not. They're two very different players, and if you refute that, then you're crazy. These guys do very different things. DJ Moore is a player who you just get him the ball, however you have to. If it's a carry out of the fucking backfield, if it's a screen pass, listen. I've said this time and time again. DJ Moore should teach a class at how to see the field after he's received the ball. because the guy finds angles, he finds alleys, he sneaks behind
I'll make
blocks.
you another
He's
bet.
he is
DJ
really
Moore
good
has
at
more
getting
targets
into
in
space.
this offense this
But
year
Roma
than Roma
Dunze,
Dunze.
as a route runner and as a contested catcher
Well,
is
I'll
a
make you
better
another
player
bet.
than DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is still the alpha male this year in this offense.
Okay, but you're
Well,
missing
being
my
the
point
alpha-
I'm not
entirely.
missing your point.
It's
I'm
just-
hearing what you're saying. But
Rome
you
has the
disregarded
potential
it.
to be
You
the
just
number
said he's gonna
one
have the most touchdowns,
receiver.
the most receptions, the
Receiver.
most receiving yards.
Yes. Receivers.
I
I
think-
think I think Rome will lead this team in receiving yards.
Yes,
I think he
and
will.
receptions and targets.
Rome, yes. I didn't. Well,
No. DJ
definitely.
Moore.
I said I
Will
think
lead the
Rome
team
will.
in all
So,
three.
yeah, that and Carl says you got some goat meat. You're snacking on goat meat tonight.
I think Rome Odunze is a more prototypical wide receiver in the NFL than DJ Moore is. And DJ Moore has made a living out of doing what I just said, guys. When he has the ball in his hands, he finds fucking ways to move down the field. It's impressive. I think he should teach I'm serious. He should teach a youth school. He probably does. At this specifically, at the yards after catch thing is DJ Moore's knack.
What Amon-Ra
He's-
St. Brown does too?
What?
Well, the
Yards
same
after-
thing DJ Moore does?
No, Amon-Ra Brown is really good at getting quick release passes. I think he's one of the best in the league at that because Jared Goff isn't all that good of a quarterback. If you ask
I
me.
love
But
DJ Moore, guys. I love
Amon-Ra
DJ
St.
Moore.
Brown doesn't
But
get
Roma
yacked.
Dunze has the ability to get yak too, and we haven't really seen that. Roma
Ken Burke-
Dunze has the ability to go into the slot, and we haven't really seen that in a successful way.
Ken Burke, thanks for
Roma
joining the
Dunze
show,
has a
man. I
potential
appreciate
to
it.
beat
Thanks,
guys
Ken.
deep down the field, and we haven't really seen that yet either. I just think there's so much untapped
DJ
potential in
Moore
Rome,
is,
and you can
DJ
put him
Moore is-
anywhere. I love DJ Moore. He is
DJ
a
Moore
leader
is
on this
He's a
team.
good downfield threat.
He
He's a
is.
very good
But
Yes.
so is Rome. So is Rome. So is Rome.
I'm not
DJ
saying Rome's not.
Yeah, and
DJ
I'm not
Moore is
saying
listen.
Moore is not,
DJ
so-
Moore is really good at creating separation downfield. He is. He's good at running a route and getting open. Roma Dunze is a guy who's going to go up and get the damn football. Tell me, guys, that DJ Moore is that's his niche. It's not. He doesn't.
it's not.
He doesn't.
catch the
He's
ball
not
with his
known
face.
for doing that.
Yeah,
He's not a
catch the
guy.
Oh, Bernie, you don't have to make 50-50 catches if you outrun the defense. Like we've seen DJ Moore
Okay,
catch
but-
a touchdown
okay,
in
but when the
Carolina
but when the
for a game
quarterback-
winner for 50
but when the-
yards, and then
but
took
when
his
the
helmet off
quarterback
and screwed
puts
up
the
catch
ball-
for the point.
But
We
when the
saw it.
quarterback puts the ball in a place where both players can get it, I want Roma Dunze on the other end of that fucking pass.
Guy
No
makes
doubt
a great
about it.
point here. Our route design last year was absolute shite. It was terrible. It's going to be
Yeah,
night
for
and day.
Cole Kmet as well.
100%. 100%. The route designs will be better, and I think Caleb's recognition of when those routes need to be hit is going to be a lot better too. I think you're going to see the passing game take off.
And who his first read is, his second
See
read,
that.
his third read. That's something
Since
that Caleb
2011
neglected.
wins over replacement at wide receiver is DJ Moore. That would make him the 11th best receiver in the NFL since
DJ
2011.
Moore is a damn good receiver. The Bears have a very
You
good
know who's number one?
and
Amon-Ra
having-
St. Brown.
and having
You know, who
DJ.
does, you know what he does the same thing as DJ Moore? Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're the same fucking.
You
I,
guys-
I've agreed with you,
guys,
Sean.
you
DJ
guys
Moore
often
can do the
treat
same
it like
thing in this
you
offense
can't
that St.
like
Brown
one
has.
player without disliking another.
I
You
don't hate
always
Roma
treat it
Dunze.
that way. It's always
don't hate
treated
Roma
that way.
Dunze.
Like the whole argument about
The
Lamar
Bears
Jackson,
have a
Josh
very
Allen.
good problem.
I
here.
like them both.
How are you going
I
to feed
like
all these
both
mouths?
receivers on this Bears team. I like DJ Moore. I like Roma Dunze. That's not the point
The
I'm
Bears
making.
have a very good problem here. How are you going to feed all these mouths? Because the defense has that same problem. How are you going to stop them from feeding all these mouths? When you shut down one, you're going to have the other. DJ Moore and Rome will play off of each other very well, and then you throw Luther Burden
listen,
into that mix. man.
I
It's
like
gonna
them
be
both.
awesome.
I'm not comparing the
Yeah.
two, but Sean makes a very good point. If Jamison Williams resembles the play and the style of Roma Dunze more
He
than
doesn't at all.
yes, he
They're
does.
very
Yes.
no, he doesn't. They're very
Vernon,
different.
DJ Moore is nothing like Jamison Williams. Nothing like him in
Neither
any way,
is
shape, or form.
neither
Nothing.
is Roma
Roma
Dunze.
Dunze, they're both more the
The
downfield.
Bears
threat
don't
like that.
have a
That's the way they
Jamison
play.
Williams, guys.
No,
the
they
Bears
don't.
have
There
a
is no
Jamison.
Jamison Williams
Look,
on this
if you
football
guys had
team.
to pick
who that-
between
you know who
Roman
that would
Dunze
be?
and DJ
Tyler
Moore to
Pratt.
be the Amon-Ra St. Brown, the guy who has consistently has the most receiving yards on the Lions, it is DJ Moore. Not a doubt about it.
Their skill sets are very comparable,
I'm not
and I've
saying
said that
Roman
before.
Dunze is not good. That has nothing to do with Roman Dunze, but Sean's right. If one of those guys is going to play an Amon-Ra St. Brown role, if they are going to, if Ben Johnson's like, I want that guy here, then it's going to be DJ Moore. It's not
Do you
even
know
a
what?
question.
I just
Not a
think
question.
Rome can get on the inside and play in the slot a lot better.
Do you
a
know
lot
what?
more than
Do you know
people
what
realize.
Jamison Williams' 40 time is?
Yeah, he's a burner.
He's a
burner.
4.25.
4.29.
He's a burner.
4.25.
And I
That's like
just
the
said- I
third
just said-
fastest in the
Burner,
NFL.
That guy
Burner,
on
why
the
are you
Bears
yelling?
would
Why
be
are you
Tyler
yelling, man?
Scott.
There's no player on this football team that does what Jamison Williams does. It's just not a thing, guys. I wish it was.
It would be Tyler Scott, a burner who takes the top off the defense because
Yeah, that's why I think
No,
Tyler
but
Scott.
I'm not
that's why
talking
I
about
think
his
Tyler
speed, guys.
Scott-
I'm talking
4.25
about
is
I'm talking
almost
about
historic.
when you want to take the top off a defense, where you want to throw the ball 50 yards downfield. Those throws are going to go to more often are going to go to Rome Odunze than they are DJ Moore.
Sure.
A la Jamison Williams in Detroit. If you're talking about
You
passes-
just said DJ Moore is a very good deep.
if you're
deep
talking
ball.
about like he can be, yeah, he's underrated. But if you're talking about passes that are thrown at screen passes at the line of scrimmage and that you get 9, 10, 11
agree.
targets a game, that is more DJ Moore than Amon-Ra St. Brown than it is Rome Odunze and Jamison Williams. It is. He's
But
not Rome Odunze is not going to get like
Pat,
7
what I
screen
mean-
passes a
what I
game.
mean
That's not
is,
going to
like,
happen. That's not, he's not that guy.
Rome Odunze can be used as like a corner fade player where DJ Moore cannot.
Rome
The-
Odunze wasn't even used as the
Guys,
slot last year when Keenan Allen was hurt.
The end result of this argument is one of these two players leading the Bears in receiving, and
They're
the
both
other
gonna be
one
very
still
close.
having a damn good year.
Both gonna be
It's
very
a good,
close.
The end
it's a
result
good
of this-
problem to have.
That's
They're
been
both
my
going to be
point.
very close.
The end result of this argument is that
You guys should have listened to my projections for the Bears skill position players. Sean, remember that show where I
Exactly,
picked?
man.
You remember my projections? I picked them very,
I
very,
watched the
very,
show.
very close to each
I
other.
watched the
Very
show.
close to each other. Very close. I think I had one of them at 11 and one of them at 12.
I just Googled, is DJ Moore a deep threat? It says generally in NFL circles, DJ Moore is considered a deep threat in the NFL because of
I
his
don't give a
speed and
fuck what
ability to
Google
make plays
says.
downfield.
Brandon doesn't give a fuck what Google says. Brandon, how many times do you use Google to make your point?
Yeah.
You,
When
you
it
do.
goes
I don't-
against the
We
How
all
many,
do,
how many
but-
times have I watched DJ Moore play football? I don't need Google to tell me that he's a
DJ
good
Moore
fucking
is a
football
solid
player.
downfield threat.
That's why I'm
so-
telling you
so
he is a deep
Rome
threat
Odunze.
because I've watched the guy play football.
I didn't
I've
say
watched
he
him
wasn't.
go deep with PJ fucking whatever the loser was that was here for a
Walker,
minute
yeah.
and win football games when he caught
I
two
didn't say
bombs
he wasn't.
over his head.
Okay,
I didn't say
listen,
he wasn't
nobody
a good-
nobody's knocking DJ Moore though, Sean. That's the whole point.
Here's my
Just
projections.
because we like Rome better does not mean that we don't think DJ is a good player.
Here are
He's
my
a damn good
projections.
player.
Here are my
That's the
projections for 2025, which will cement the fact that Rome Odunze is more like that Jamison Williams type role. Not the same player, but that type role. So 86 receptions. So less receptions than DJ Moore because DJ Moore is going to get a lot of work at the line of scrimmage. Like I said, 86 receptions for Rome Odunze, 1,246 yards, 9 touchdowns. DJ Moore, 106 receptions, so 20 more receptions, 1,298 yards, so only 50 more yards and 11 touchdowns, 2 more touchdowns. That was my projection. So I 100%, they're going to have very, very, very similar stats. They're just going to be used in very different ways. That's at the end of the day. And if he is the Amon-Ra St. Brown, if DJ Moore is, this year, he's probably going to have more catches and yards than Rome
Well,
Odunze.
I'm gonna just say
Maybe
this.
not
I
in the
wish Sean-
future. Maybe not in the future when
wish-
Rome Odunze is a way, way better
I
player.
wish
than
Sean
his
had it.
prime.
I just
I
think
wish
Rome
Sean
is
had
a
it to queue
sleeper
up
on
right
this
now,
team
but
this year.
Antoine Randall did say he thinks that Rome Odunze is better than Malik Neighbors.
No, he
That's
did.
your wide. That's
Well,
what your wide
Brennan,
receiver.
you think he's going to come out and say, "I think Malik Neighbors is better than"?
No,
the guy
he
on
said
my
he
team
thought
and
it
Rome-
before the draft.
Yeah, well, of course he's going to say that, bro.
Yeah, he probably has to say that. And listen, at the end of the day, guys, it's just projections and it's just Google or Perplexity or whatever. Guys,
And we have
talk
2
about.
good players on our football team.
We have no more than 2. You have all these weapons.
I mean,
that
between
Caleb
the
is-
2, we're discussing.
yeah. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of targets to go around here, and I think we're going to see the results be that Rome has a great season, DJ has a great season, and so do a few other guys, including our quarterback Caleb Williams. I think this offense is going to be fucking awesome this year
Yes.
compared to what we've
Yes.
seen in Chicago, and that's what we should be
Yes.
looking forward to.
And I
be
think our
excited
line's going to
about,
hold
guys.
up.
And I believe that they're going to lean this season because they're seasoned vets and they know the NFL. I think Rome Odunze and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are going to be relied on heavily early and often, and then they'll sprinkle Loveland and Luther Burden in as time goes on. So
That's a
by
solid take to have.
by default,
take
Kmet's probably going to have better
But
numbers
then,
than Loveland.
but then,
DJ Moore's going to have better numbers than Luther Burden. But
then-
next year,
An hour
Luther
ago.
Burden could be their best receiver. I
but
don't
then
know.
I did say, I said on the bare minimum though, don't take this lightly. You're talking about the 2 very first players that Ben Johnson ever drafted as a head coach in the
100%.
NFL.
But there's still young guys who need to learn the NFL, even if they
also
draft
said
it.
that
Even if you
I
love
think
it.
Loveland leads the
When it's all
Bears,
said and
and
done, it may be the best receiver on this team.
I think Loveland leads the Bears in red zone
Sean,
targets
you've-
this season,
Sean,
guys.
you've said that many a time.
Well, I mean, I just think he will establish himself as a much more prolific player than Cole Kmet pretty early on, and I think it's going to be hard to deny And I think Ben Johnson's going to want to get him involved in the offense as much as possible because of his physical abilities, man. That's just the way I see it playing out.
We'll see. I mean, it would. I hope so. He was the 10th pick in the draft. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Tyler Warren is catching like 20 touchdowns in Indianapolis and close to level,
Anthony Richardson can't hit the side of a barn, dude.
It would not be a good look for Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears.
Daniel Jones.
By all accounts, Tyler
Warren's in trouble.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones.
I think Tyler Warren has a more broad skill set than Colston Loveland. Not even a question. He's definitely
He's got a more broad like of a quarterback.
He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He can catch the ball. He can do everything. He's 100% all around player than Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland needs to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He was drafted at 10 in front of Tyler Warren. He needs to be amazing. He needs to be amazing. If he's not, he's a disappointment. Now his stand, because he was drafted before Tyler Warren and a top 10 pick in the NFL draft as a tight end, his expectations from Bears fans are going to be high. Very, very high.
The same expectations.
Very high. Greg Olsen or better. Greg Olsen or better. That's
the same expectations that Ben Johnson holds over him now, I would imagine.
Yeah, sure.
I want to thank everybody in the chat once again, guys. We can go through all those names if you like, but you're in there.
We did it already. We just did that. Yeah.
Guys, check out. There is another show on Wednesday starting at once again 7:00. It's been pushed back. The Barely There podcast with these two goons on your right, and Jay will be here as well. He's back, right? Is Jay back?
Yeah, I'll be back this week.
Okay. So the three of those guys will kick that off on Wednesday night starting at 7:00. Dustin and myself are back for another late night edition at 11:30 p.m. for the bare minimum. And then we do have the show that's gaining all the traction for 4-Star Chicago sports right now, guys. The North Side 9, that Cubs show on Saturday at noon. Watch that show, guys. It's really, really good show, and the Cubs are really fun.
Cubs are lighting it up this year, and they're doing a great job.
PCA is the best story in sports. That is another thing these guys get to talk about every Saturday at noon. I'm jealous of it. So, guys, please check us out. Check us out on TikTok. That's where we're at now, guys. We're on Instagram. Check us out on basically everywhere.
4starchicagosports.com. Sean,
check out our website
up there on Roshan Johnson. And honestly, guys, thank God we didn't even get to the offensive line tonight. We would have been yelling a lot more. I'm kind of glad we didn't touch on the offensive line tonight.
Guys, go check out all the avenues that you can see for 4-Star Chicago Sports. Like I said, we did kick it off on TikTok. Go check that out as well, guys. And we appreciate everybody for watching. Have a happy and healthy evening. And we'll see you again Wednesday at 7:00. Fellas, bear down.
Sean,
anything you want to get out there before you wrap up?
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go. That a boy. Awesome.
Austin Booker's going to have at least 7 sacks this season, guys.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
You know what, lads? That's a really good question. Can PCA play the slot?
What'd you say?
That would be amazing.
I said Austin Booker's going to have at least 7 sacks.
At least 7? So what are you thinking, like 8 or 9?
I'm thinking at least 7.
So Brandon's saying the Bears are going to have less than they did last year, less than 46.
I was trying to end the show.
Yeah, we're out of here, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bear down,
everybody.
World War III.